What up, bitches? It's ladies and gentlemen of the congregation. Hi. I'm your minister of Remeruism, science and technology, and other things, Richie Roberts, and I'm very tired. That's all you really need to know. So yeah,
I'm very tired.
I'm very tired. I'm dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was my dad's birthday yesterday, so that's why there was no anime church. So for all of you heathens out there, oh no anime church, I literally seriously debated doing anime church today. And just because there's so
Oh,
much
really?
news that I give a shit about that's coming out, then I'm like,
I mean, if you'd have hit me up and said, "Get your suit on," I'd have done it.
I literally spent like 4 hours out of the house today. So
Eh.
there was no way. I had to go
Oh,
talk to
fun.
my. I had to talk to my VA rep. Then I had to talk to the head doctor, who graciously informed me of something I already knew, which is I have ADHD. No shit. But also, an added bonus, bipolar.
Yay!
Yeah. I was like, and basically confirmed what everybody else already knew. Anybody that watches this channel, I am a horrible human being. Yeah. Yeah, I have a personality disorder that I basically I fight part of my own personality on a constant basis, and that's why I can't manage to have good human relationships and friendships and interactions and things like that because I can't trust people, and I'm like, no shit. Tell me something I don't fucking know. And they were like, we have a bunch of pills for you, and I'm like, and you don't have to pay for them. And I'm like, go on. And one of the side effects for one of them is weight
Now
loss.
you have my attention.
Oh, no. Then they told me that one of the side effects was weight loss. And I was like, now you have my erection. Oh, you all know what I'm about. Anyway.
That's the
So for
that's
those
the
of you
only
that-
place I
like
want to continue
15.
being fat.
So here's the thing. All right. So a couple of things just to go ahead and get this out of the way for those who did not show up on my channel and check out my streams over last week. Fuck you. And secondly, your boy got paid. I officially got 10% for asthma on my military disability. They're still looking at my shoulder. That's not gone away. It was just deferred. They're waiting on some shit, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll get that. There's still some other stuff I have to kind of apply for. Turns out, yeah, I don't have Hollywood PTSD, but I do have PTSD. So that's one of the things that we're gonna file for. You ever been in a C-130 when it's dropped 100 feet in the air over the Atlantic? I have. You ever tried
That
to get
doesn't sound fun.
You ever tried to act like everything's okay when you're trying to board a commercial flight after that shit has happened? Because I've done that. It's not fun. But basically, the
imagine.
reason the camera angle looks different is because I had to replace my TV, which was over there at the time, with a new TV that's over here. And the fun part about that TV that I got now is it doesn't put out as much heat. So, oh my God. I'm hearing your background, Sonic. That's great. Anyway, it doesn't put out as much heat, so I'm not sweating like a whore in church, as they say weird colloquialisms down here in the South. Yeah. So I got a new TV, which is something that's needed to happen because the old one I have is from 2004. And it's like, yeah. So
Welcome to the 43-inch 4K world.
I wanted
It's great, isn't it?
I wanted just a 40-inch or like a 38 or something. I didn't need a
Yeah.
TV this big. Because now it doesn't fit over there. I had to put it here. I mean, it's still good. I like playing
Yeah,
video
they go-
games. Playing games now and being able to actually have like a screen that will do 60 FPS. Like it's a whole different. There's a difference between being able to play in 60 FPS and being able to actually look at 60 FPS. There's a difference. Or 4K, because apparently my stuff has that. I have a smart TV now, so I can tell my Echo Dot to turn it off, and that makes it even better, because I can just be like, turn
I don't know.
everything
I
in
actually
my bedroom
removed
off.
from the smart TV.
If you
I
guys
went for
haven't
like the
seen,
Asus or not.
for
Asus
those that did
Aorus,
not show
whatever.
up, Rimuru has friends. There's Ranga,
Ah.
Demon Lord Melam Nava, and Diablo. I did do an unboxing on my channel. Make sure to go check that
Oh,
out.
that's right.
Shameless plug. Go check out my channel, Like Zoinks Gaming, if you haven't done so already. I will be out of town tomorrow, but for the rest of the week, I will be back and in streaming form. No, we will not be streaming D&D this week, but we will be playing it. We just won't be streaming it. That's gone. That's done. That's over. Lastly, another Fat Dog thing. Okay, couple of Fat Dog things. For all of you patrons out there, go to the Fat Dog Patreon. There is a very important thing that I posted last night that talks about like super special secret streams that we're going to be doing on the YouTube channel on every other Saturday. This one is actually going to be the second editing stream for Slime 9. I'm cutting the lines for Slime episode 9, and this time it's a post-credit scene that actually connects directly to Log Horizon Abridged. And trust me, if you think Cat has great bloopers, wait till you hear Lennon. Let's see. Next up. Yes, of course. Moon has put out his reaction to episode 5 of Mushoku Tensei.
Can you believe it? It's only been a week since the last one. It's great when I don't have to edit subtitles.
Yeah, it's actually a lot quicker. He said he's going to work on the next episode tomorrow, which shouldn't take that long because, again, not having to add subtitles. And this time you don't have to add audio from the other source either.
Yeah.
So that'll make things. We're getting almost to the point where we don't have to like grab external stuff or fix things, our audio issues. So it's going to be nice when we get to the point where we don't have to work on audio issues anymore. Though I will say, I don't know why it is that I sound that way. Because I come through clearly usually. I thought, do I not come through clear on Discord? Like, what was that about?
I mean,
The mic sounded weird.
it could have just been the way I was taking it in, or the way I have some settings set. We could try to futz with it later.
Well, we'll probably have that all fixed and sorted out within a few episodes, and it'll sound clear again. I don't know how early on it is into that, but just bear with us. It was early days of Moon learning OBS.
Yes, it was a fun time.
But that does not make the reactions any less funny.
We have fun, and I put in some extra edits of my own since I had the time to do it.
Also, guys, I will go ahead and say I will not be doing a reaction to this, but if you haven't checked it out and
Hold on.
and your blood pressure isn't like horrible, and you want some borderline hentai, go check out Harem Labyrinth in Another World or something like that. Yeah, it's just wow. It's just wow. That's the best way to describe it. That having been said, good news is we're on to a new volume. We're on volume 8. That's going to be good stuff. Starting out with that. Any other shameless plugs for Fat Dog related content?
Nope, I just got here. Also, sorry, I was washing dishes, so my mom wouldn't have to. So I like literally just got
I
home.
love that. I
less
love that
than
washing dishes,
20
so my
minutes
mom
ago.
doesn't have to. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got a
Oh.
new chair, so I can actually have like lumbar support, and and I put that together yesterday after I got home, and then this afternoon after I got back from all the VA stuff, I finally got my new tail light, so I'm not driving around with a broken tail light anymore. It's a fully
Hooray.
Fun.
yes. I didn't take long. It was literally take 3 screws out, pull it out, unhook it, put the new one up, hook it, slide it into the slot, screw the 3 screws in. Done. Close the trunk. Done.
Yeah, taillights are the nicest things to fix.
I got to replace 2 headlights and 2 handles on the the rear doors, passenger and driver side, because the handles are like coming off, and so yeah, and that entails taking off the inside of the door in order to replace the handles, and I'm like, that's the dumb. Okay,
You're
You
gonna
have to take
have
the door
like
off, and then you have to split the door in half.
15 different screws on there, depending on how old it is.
it's 2006. I'm probably just gonna pay someone else to do it when I have the money to do that. The important thing right now is getting my starter plugs checked and everything. Make sure that's all good before AWA. which by the way, toward the end of that month, at least a week before, I need all that hotel money because I don't have like just magically the money for the hotel just showing up in my account randomly. I will need that, and we're gonna have to have a conversation about that. But hey, that's the other thing, guys. If you want to come see us, we're gonna be at AWA. Come see us at AWA.
Yeah.
All right. Now that we've cleared all of those things, I noticed the last time you came to visit, didn't mean to make this big. She isn't complaining. Wait, what?
You said I didn't mean to make it this big, so she isn't complaining.
Whoops.
There you go. Now you get it.
Yeah, I was gonna wonder, like, did Chem realize his camera's not on yet?
Glad
Oh, I know that. I'm sorry. I'm setting up still. Trying to
okay.
adjust some shit.
Oh,
That's
okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I made
Like,
them suffer.
Putting your
without
pants
you.
on, whatever.
I made them
So-
suffer. I made them suffer without you, Shim. I literally
Yeah.
already did, ladies and gentlemen of the congregation, and
I'm sad.
you weren't here to wave around. Just to
Yeah, you missed that.
did
Sorry.
that just to make our audience mad.
Of course. There you
It's
go.
it's
There we
exciting
go.
times. I literally started off with that too. It's great. All right,
Oh,
so we're gonna start off
I'm
with the
sad.
prologue.
Chem
and,
turns on his camera. We immediately double our views.
Yeah.
Rick, send me the spinny wheel. I need to put people's names down
I swear
see-
I've already sent it to
and
you.
see. You have, but you've typed a lot of shit since then, so I'm telling him to send it to me again. Let's see. Let's play the game and see how long the Wheel of Destiny will ignore Sonic,
Yeah.
or
I enjoy it. Is it
Or-
gonna punish me this time?
or will I lie and make it seem that way?
That's true. You always could.
I could.
If
I'm not
we have
gonna,
to
though.
suspect that, it's like, oh, you gotta start streaming the wheel.
You think
I
people
will
go on the
trust you.
internet and tell lies?
Okay, Moon. I love that I
impossible.
asked someone else to do it and you sent it anyway.
That's because it took 2 scrolls up. That's it.
I literally asked Rick to do it because he's not busy with this. Also, the next time you
Is
ask
busy
me,
trying to contain
Also-
people from sending
also-
exercise
no,
too
no,
many.
Hold on. I need to make a complaint. I need to file a complaint real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Bookwalker, make it fucking easier for people to gift purchases for other people. It's nonsense.
That was
Like,
stupid.
I
You
tried
can't
to
do that.
gift Volume 8 to Moon, and the code or whatever for it goes to me instead of going to him, even though it's on his wish list that I freaking gifted it. It's just like the dumbest thing. The dumbest thing.
It's,
I
it's
mean,
not like
I guess you could just copy and paste the
Steam.
code to him, but yeah, it's like
That's
but
what
the
they
whole
tell
thing
you
is-
to do.
Here's the thing. That's what they tell you to do, but you got to go like 3 different places to find the effing code. And then I copy paste it, send it to him. Then he redeemed it. And I was like, please tell me you have it because I still have this effing tab open and I'm so sick of staring at it.
Yeah, I have it.
Oh, he sent it to me and
Looking
it's
at
already.
it.
Okay. So it's funny. The link is there, but it's still the link from last week. So it's still the spin wheel. So I don't have to change it.
oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
However,
Oh.
the spinny wheel of doom, even though I clicked it just because I like watching it and I want to hear the sound.
Mm-hmm.
Instant gratification.
decision.
Okay,
Mhm.
so how we're gonna do this is I'm actually going to have Shim read first, even though the test spin landed on Sonic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll read after him, basically.
No,
Okay.
no, you won't. It's a test spin. I was
Oh,
just really
okay.
surprised with
So
the
do I
very
not
first
even
spin. The very first spin landed on you. I was just like, oh, let me test what it does. No,
I'm
it
telling
actually,
you, Lux-based stuff has to balance out at some point. And
you say that, but probability and
Hmm.
randomness don't have to fall into that. It's called chaos for a reason. They're like, the
Chaos
universe is
United.
built
it
on
finds
order.
a way.
Lies.
There will be a stream probably one of these days where I read a whole bunch of it.
All right, so Shim,
Yeah.
I'm giving you the entire prologue. Have fun with it.
Okay, you got it.
So,
Okay.
Shim, since you missed it so much,
Mhm. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen of the congregation, please open your holy books of Reamerism to the effing prologue at the daggum beginning of the freaking book.
I was trying to figure out how to do the
Volume
handbook
8.
for prologue.
Volume 8. We have officially made it to where the manga currently is.
Can we also take a second to appreciate just this art and Shuna? I mean, the art.
What?
Not Shuna.
Mm-hmm.
There's this picture. It's like one of the first things you see, at least on Bookwalker.
Uh-huh.
Not that.
Oh.
The next one.
You're talking about the cover?
Oh.
No, I'm talking about the next one, and I meant to say Shion. Both of their names
Yeah.
start with SH. It confuses me.
Shion is the secretary. Shuna makes the clothes.
Yeah, there's the insert. I see what you're talking about.
Shuna's the sister. Shion's the secretary.
Yes, sir.
Good lord.
We're
Okay,
talking about the copyright?
dude, do you guys hear that, or is that just me?
Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
that.
I thought
Okay,
that.
that's
No, I
good.
heard it.
All right, Moon.
I thought,
Moon,
oh, is that my
Moon,
thing
you've
again?
got some like, I don't know what
Crackling
to call
noises.
it. Crackly,
Static.
scratchy, static noise.
That's not good.
Mhm.
Nope. No, it's not.
How are we?
Still bad.
I heard it. I heard it.
I might know.
You might
Yeah.
need to plug and unplug or something. I don't know.
Unless
Something
something's
got
charging
loose
or
when he was waving his hands around.
All
Are
right.
we
Love
now?
something.
sometimes
Should
All
be
right.
good. Yeah, I think
Good.
we're good.
Cool.
Sometimes
Alright,
it just
and
needs to
somebody
be plugged
also
and
redeemed
unplugged.
Godfrey.
Godfrey.
Mhm.
Oh God. All right.
Yep.
So
All right,
you have
Good.
the entire prologue. Go for it, Shem.
all right, you got it. You are quite a spiteful man, Granville. I came very close to dying, I'll have you know. Don't be absurd. You fled before you could even get involved, didn't you? I had no choice. Did my protege deliver the news to you? More or less, yes. That demon was more of a monster than I ever imagined. The Empire's regular forces would hardly stand a chance. We would need the most powerful army I know, the Imperial Guard, to defeat him. But enough about that. Damrata and Granville were seated facing each other, each sizing up their partner as they calmly chatted. Excuse me. In Damrata's eyes, their plan had failed. Thus, he felt it prudent to keep his distance from the Rozo family until the heat died down a little. If their scheme had worked, that would have given them an advantage in the negotiations. But if not, he was likely to face demands he found singularly unreasonable. Right now, he simply wanted to cut his losses and move on. Holy shit. That's a good start. But things had changed. On his way to Tempest, he had received a magical call reporting the news to him. Oh, good. Miss Piggy. Hold on. Hinata is defeated. She and the demon Lord Rimuru have agreed to terms. Damrata had pictured this happening, but it was still the worst possible outcome imaginable. Hinata's survival made it harder to do business in the nations where the Holy Western Church held sway. If she had made peace with Rimuru and Kermi, it was unlikely anyone could rile that demon lord up once again to kill her. Hiya! Damrata and Granville joined forces on this scheme because they both stood to gain from it. But it was now safe to say the whole thing failed miserably, unlike moi. Good. Although depending on how you view this, you could call it fortuitous. The strategy had failed, but to Damrata, this was at best a glancing blow. It meant losing part of their foundation in the Western nations, but there were other trade routes. Cerberus was a group as enormous as it was shadowy, operating several different trade organizations as fronts for its activities. Furthermore, Damrata had no personal interest in whether Hinata lived or died. Granville's failure was therefore not all that irritating to him. And thanks to that, Damrata was currently trying to work out his and Granville's future relationship to his advantage. After a hasty change of plans, Damrata had come to meet with Granville once again. But what about you, Granville? Were you all bark and no bite? Not only did you fail to take care of Hinata, but her connection to Rimuru is even stronger than before. Blind to his own involvement in their failed strategy, Damrata moved to criticize Granville instead, but Granville himself was likely expecting much. Yes, Granville replied. I must admit to that. There will be no rebalancing the scales now. Farmus, for all its history, has fallen, and I imagine a new nation will replace it. It is exactly what Rimuru wanted, and it means your project is in shambles. He didn't hesitate to agree with Damwada and went on to expound on his own theory before getting right to the point. Damwada, well aware of his current situation, chose to respond with silence. So what will you do? What do you mean? Rimuru seems to want the Forest of Jura to become the financial center of the world. We of the Rozos will not stand for that. Damwada coldly calculated how to respond. He had no intention of deliberately getting on the Rozos' wrong side. As far as he was concerned, if they could just both put the state of affairs behind them, all was well. And Granville, to his credit, seemed to be of the same mind, going ahead of Damwada and turning his eyes toward the future.
Does anybody else just kind of want Shim to read everything from now on and all these silly voices?
Oh my god!
I can't be the only one.
In the every just go through all the voices that we have and just have him do it.
Sadly,
I'm thoroughly entertained.
Sadly enough,
pinch myself to stop from laughing.
I am thoroughly entertained right now.
Yeah, this is a wonderful experience.
Sadly,
oh my god!
Yes, please, boy.
No, sadly enough, breaking news comes easy on my tongue because it's just phrasing, but it's easy on my throat because I've done this before. Because it's easy for me to do because I've done this before.
Breaking news.
It's really weird. Yeah, I am very fluent in ooh speak. That's the weirdest thing.
You're very fluent
in baby speak.
In ooies.
I did have a lot of younger cousins too, but I wouldn't use that voice. But
Ooies.
this is how it goes. Anyway, so what would quarreling with each other accomplish? Now that a fight between the Demon Lord and Saint Hinata is unlikely to happen, any further public activity would be ill-advised. The same is true for your side too, is it not? Granville seemed to be reading his mind. I see there is no outwitting you, my good man. No, there is no point trying to assign blame for this failure. The 5 elders have been more than kind to us up to now, and I know this remains the case. We may not have been able to profit off a potential war, but so be it. As long as we remain alive, other opportunities will come. Well said, Sir Damrata. Oh, sorry, that was supposed to be him. Well said, Sir Damrata. I do appreciate how quickly you understand me. Let us continue to work together to block this new economic threat before it begins. It went without saying that Damrata's mission... Oh my god. Okay. It went without saying that Damrata's mission was to protect the interest in the Western nations. Maribel Granville's treasure had predicted that this nation in the Forest of Jura would potentially become a financial juggernaut. If it did, that would inevitably weaken the Rozo family's influence on the world, and it would be a very expensive endeavor. Oh my god, okay. Granville would never allow cracks to open on the system of rule his ancestors spent thousands of years building up. That was why he wanted to interfere with Rimuru, to crush his ambitions. But without his status as part of the 7 Days clergy, he could no longer use the name of the old god Luminous to his advantage. Thus, no matter what it took, he needed support from Cerberus. Like me, I'm a dog.
Bro, just be glad that these are voices and not exercises, alright?
I know, it's crazy.
It's true.
Oh, they're
Paul's going crazy.
I'm trying. This is an exercise in and of itself, but I am trying. Thus, no matter what it took, he needed support from... Oh, wait. The other 5 elders, Granville's descendants and comrades, supported him on that. Supporting pressure at the Council of the West and ensuring that the post-war cleanup over the Farmus took as long as possible. They couldn't stop that country from crowning a new king, but they could do whatever it took to delay the inevitable.
Okay.
I love how you family are resetting yourself. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, I love the reset with yourself. That's actually really smart.
I have to physically move to do this sometimes. So
I mean,
you have to pop your head.
Yeah, you have to, like a dog. They kind of, Anyway.
All right, we got
the Rozo family still had a few aces up their sleeve, but it was too mature or premature to use them. You know what I mean?
We're not
better to take advantage of Cerberus.
We're not doing back-to-back Kelly from the Valleys. I'm rejecting that second one. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
No, yeah, it's a little
that's a bit much. Yeah. Better to take advantage of Cerberus instead, Granville thought. One moment on that. But Demrata, wasn't ready to agree with him. The Rozos and the 5 elders they controlled were excellent business partners. He truly had no intentions of doing away with the relationship. You know what I mean? Relationships are important. But thinking this meant Demrata was their lapdog would be a mistake. He was a merchant, motivated by money and shit. And he had a flexible mind. He was different from other people, you know? Something cool. Cerberus had grown fabulously rich, thanks to the exclusive control it held over trade between the East and West, yes. But the arrival of a new customer to work with was nothing that hurt Cerberus. That the 5 elders' loss of influence over the Western nation was no business of theirs, but it could be business of mine. I have to, mimic sharpening the fucking nails. I truly desired. What's up? You okay?
No. I'm remembering an accident that occurred yesterday. We were on the way to pick up my niece, and on the interstate, a car flipped.
Holy shit!
Down,
are they okay?
Fun.
Upside down, smoking, all that. Yeah, she got out of there fine. She had some scrapes and cuts and stuff, and there were enough of us good old boys that ran over the vehicle to help her get out. But
Jesus Christ, that sucks.
Usually we pass by the scene of an accident. We don't normally
see it,
experience it firsthand.
Yeah, we don't see it live.
Yeah.
And you can tell what age you were in because people are driving by, heads out the windows, cameras pointed, eyes on the road, and you'll be the next guy turned upside down. Dude, you have kids really in the back. Don't do that shit.
Yeah, it's why?
Yeah.
The kids can. Kids, get your camera! Look at the wreck!
Oh, well, they were too. Oh my God. The whole fucking family had phones pointed at it. And I'm like, God damn, people.
God.
Anyway.
That's disrespectful. Anyway.
Yeah. Thankfully, she was okay.
I truly do desire.
Shaggy is.
I'm glad that she was, though. Yeah, I saw that. I truly do desire to maintain friendly relationships or relations with you and your family. However, I'm afraid I cannot readily agree to your suggestion. After all, our organization has no reason to be hostile to Rimuru. How dare you! As you yourself said, now that Hinata knows me, any further activity in the Western nations is out of the picture. Instead, I will return home to provide you with something else. Excuse me. The message Demrata gave was clear. What's up?
Too many. You're doing too many voices, Chip. You're gonna overload.
They're warping together.
The message Demrata gave. Man.
Yeah. The message Demrata gave was clear. If Granville had eliminated Hinata as promised, he could be more active right now, but that hadn't happened.
A vehicle to pick up the stuff he needs.
We can't do his laugh.
So I'll go early in the morning and order his stuff and pay for it. So all you have to do is go pick it up.
That's fine. I was actually thinking of going errands anytime tomorrow anyway, because we have the carpet cleaning.
But you need to be here to pay him.
He does know how the mute button works, right?
Yes, Dale too. Let me give you some money for Dale. I might not be enough. I just need to pay $100. I don't know if it's gonna work.
Yeah, get that money for Dale.
What was telling me you have it?
Aha! He muted. All right.
Finally.
Yep. I was gonna say.
Oh no, he didn't. Never mind.
He's okay.
Let's see if it comes back. Or maybe they left the room. Who knows?
Hopefully.
Yeah, maybe.
I gotta use the restroom anyways.
Yeah. All right, all good.
Oh, sure. All right, everybody heard that, right? Make sure he has the money for Dale.
Yep, that's true. It's Mamasanic.
Mamasanic.
Well, presumably, I don't know who that is. Mamasanic.
Sanic sister.
Yeah, it could be.
Sister Sanic. All right, anyway.
Should I continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, cool. For now, we will continue as our... For now, we will continue our transactions as before. As for this incident, I suggest that we should just forgive and forget. Demrata stood up. Granville had... Excuse me, it's leaning towards Miss Piggy.
Yeah, I was
Granville had misread him.
Oh, no, you're on to committing a crime now.
Oh, I am? Okay,
yeah,
excuse me.
You already did that, so now committing a crime.
That's right. Oh, God, okay. Dumrata stood up. Granville had misread him, and he could no longer force the point. The Cerberus group had an iron grip on the Eastern Empire's underground. Angering Dumrata, one of their bosses, enough to sever the relationships for good, was too much of a loss for the Rozos to bear right now. It's like really close to Dr. Evil.
All right,
very well.
Now you have llama time after that. So
that's Patrick Warburton, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's Patrick Warburton.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. Very well. We will handle it ourselves. Yeah. So I do hope you will at least refrain. What's up? What are you saying?
Nothing.
Oh, no, okay. Very well. We will handle it ourselves then. So I do hope you will at least refrain from interfering in the matter. That much goes without saying, Dumrata replied with a smile. Look back at our previous dealings. You are safe trusting us. With a polite bow, he left the room. From start to finish, Dumrata had been sincere in everything he said. Yeah. On the surface, he was the very picture of an honest merchant.
The money.
Picture of a merchant.
For Dumrata.
An honest merchant.
Dumrata's money.
The money for Dumrata.
The money exclusively.
The money meant specifically for Dumrata. Exactly. Dumrata's money.
Right.
That money.
That money. Yes, that money. Got you covered.
Oh no, my spinach puffs.
My Dumrata puffs.
My Dumrata puffs.
Yeah.
All right. Oh no.
But if Hinata had been killed as planned, he would have reached out to Rimuru long ago, pitting the Rozos against the Demon Lord and profiting off the eventual clash. But an impartial observer never would have suspected any of that. People call them Dorada, the gold, for a reason.
Cool.
Jesus. It was, yeah, all right.
Now
Goofy,
now we're on to Goofy. No
more, Paul. Was a sly old dog himself.
I hope you're out of fucking points.
I'll try my best.
This is quite forever.
This is actually pretty good for me. It's like, okay, I gotta cycle through these things. And, sharpen the blade. Okay. But Granville has a sly old dog himself, like me. Yuck. He had a mostly accurate grip on Dumrata's motivations. Yes, he was unlikely to interfere, but he didn't say anything about not courting Rimuru. He had told no lies, which was the minimum anyone would want to see from a merchant. But Granville was the leader of a family who ruled over much of the world's business. Yuck! I have to practice my yucks. Murata's attitude wasn't something he was able to abide. I detest him so much. Oh, excuse me, was willing to abide. My bad. Murata's attitude wasn't something he was willing to abide. Yuck! Those yucks are actually really hard to do.
You know what? You know what?
Oh my god.
Now, listen here. You can go yuck yourself. Yuck you. Oh, God.
Well, I hope you're having a yucking good time.
Next. We'll wait until the next big paragraph, but you've now got Noir Detective.
Okay. Gotcha.
From Shadow Reaper.
I detest him so much.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Granville whispered, now alone in the room. He thinks he can take advantage of me. Once this matter is done with, you're next. The humiliation in his eyes darkened into surging rage. And that was how things worked out with the 5 elders. Dumrata reported to the boy sitting comfortably in a chair. Well, I'm glad matters have been settled with the Rozos the way you wanted them to. Now we can continue to use them as a point of contact for negotiation. Dumrata was at the height of arrogance while dealing with the Rozos. Scum, all of them. With this boy, he was far more self-deprecating. It was to be expected. After all, this boy, broadly nodding his approval at Dumrata's report to the sly dog, was both his master and the leader of the Cerberus group. Quite true, but curse those rats, pushing a monster like that on me without even informing me about it. That must have been quite an adventure, but at least you were able to step back at the right time. Yes, that was a stroke of luck. His name was Diablo, if I recall. A fearsome demon. One who might even be the equal of Blanc over in the Empire. Rimuru himself is far from the only threat. Yeah, I got a feeling Rimuru is going to grow stronger before we get ourselves fully back in order. I agree. That Demon Lord was the uncanniest luck working for him. He's assembled quite a number of Magic-born, and he's even tamed the Storm Dragon himself. To tell the truth, I think a frontal assault. To tell the truth, I think a frontal assault would be a pretty bad idea. I wouldn't go so far as to call it unwinnable, but no, I doubt Cerberus would survive when the dust settles. Well, no point in fretting about it. We got time to work with it. We can think about it. That we can. Things will remain rather chaotic for a while to come. Joining in the fray could burn us badly. Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, Sonic.
I used Hina to get back.
Sonic, don't forget to give Dale his money.
I know. I tried to mute the damn thing, but I don't know which one goes in the ear now. I'm so frazzled.
Dale wants his fucking money. If not, he'll throw some pocket sand in your face.
Pocket sand.
Chat, we need to get money for Dale. We need to pay Dale. Get chat. We need to donate to the Patreon to donate to I can pay Dale. He's gonna break my kneecaps otherwise, chat.
That's not how the Patreon works. Don't let him lie to you.
I'm not. That's how I'm making it.
But also donate to our Patreon.
If you don't mind, please.
Donate to the Snuggle Velocity Patreon. That doesn't exist for me.
Just for $10.83, just for $10.83, you can cover a year's worth of Fat Dog entertainment,
which gives you access to my
Mushoku Tensei
reactions,
and you get early access to stuff.
That doesn't pay Dale though. It doesn't.
No,
it doesn't pay Dale. I'm sorry,
but it does help us travel.
I will say,
Hill and Dale.
Yeah, I will say I'm really sorry that his name's not Dave. Instead, it's Dale. So we're changing out a letter there. I apologize.
Or Steve. All right. Anyway, continue.
Yes.
All right. Wait. We have Joker
Steve's the other guy. Actually.
Yeah, I'll try. Mm-hmm.
I don't know where we're at now.
I used Hinata to get back at him a little, but that sure didn't work out, huh? It's too dangerous to make any other moves. Better to lay low for a while. The boy smiled, not seeming to care too much. Damrata thought things over as he returned the smile. Then he seemed to remember something. Still, he glumly stated, I have to say, the 5 elders were all bark and no bite. Going on about how they would destroy Hinata, and look at how well that worked out, huh? With both surviving, I'm sure they'll work out their misunderstandings. That could end the whole rift between Tempest and the Holy Church before too long. I thought that would happen, the boy replied with a chuckle. Rimuru is too generous to humankind. I didn't think he had it in him to kill Hinata. I was kinda hoping that generosity would spell his downfall sooner or later, but perhaps he wasn't that generous. I think the 5 elders were aiming to conspire with Rimuru so they could keep a lid on the Storm Dragon. Well, if that was all it took, we wouldn't have any problems right now. I had you keep close tabs on them precisely because I figured they screw it up. Ah, I see. But that saved me in the end. If he hadn't contacted me, sir, I would have had to duel Hinata herself in front of Rimuru. What's the next one? It was, Brannigan.
Yep.
Perhaps with some more luck, he wouldn't have blown his cover.
Yeah.
I would sure like to blow the covers off Leela. Anyway. But you have to get into like the
No.
His voice has some real
great. Keep it up.
Yeah.
That's great.
But he wasn't optimistic about his chances fighting Hinata. He deeply appreciated the boy's advance, warning about the danger. Although, of course, the danger only came about because of me, Zap Brannigan. No, just kidding. The danger only came about because of the boy's orders. If Hinata had been fed false information, Damrata never would have been revealed at all, unlike me, in front of Leela.
Also, how are people redeeming stuff when I had them paused?
I don't know.
Like, they redeemed a bunch of exercises at the beginning, even though I had it paused.
Yeah, it's all good. It's working. Hashtag pay Dale. Oh God.
I'll be paid Dale.
Sonic, what have you done?
I'm rolling with the punches. Anyway, that's what I've done.
Yep. Good. All right. Still, this was nothing that troubled Damrata deeply. The orders of the boy who had led Cerberus took precedence over everything else. His mission, after all, was no less than to conquer the entire world, a goal Damrata shared. He adored the boy. With him, he felt, this childlike dream of world domination could really happen. That was why he never questioned any of the orders he received. If I had lost you, the boy casually said, my plan would have been sabotaged beyond repair. Well, Dumrata replied with a bold grin. At least I managed to escape for you. One did not become the leader of Cerberus solely through business acumen. It took real talent to make the powers that be in the underground bow to you. The boy, perhaps knowing this, let a devilish grin creep onto his face. But don't go all out or anything, all right? Because that's the absolute last resort. So let's just sit and watch a bit. I look forward to seeing how this struggle plays out, especially since there's no real power involved. Going all out, as he put it, meant calling upon every asset Cerberus had on hand. That required bringing 2 underbosses not in the room, people below the boy himself, into the fold. There would be nothing covert about the results. It could lead to a full-blown war that involved all the Western nations. Damrata nodded at the boy, knowing that wasn't what he wanted. In that case, he said, it might be best for me to return to my native land. Yeah, probably. You said she didn't see your face, but this is Hinata we're talking about. She's probably got her sights on you, and that makes open activity difficult. No, better to have someone else step up. Although, Damrata knew what the boy was getting at. Cerberus had 3 underbosses, Damrata and 2 others, and one of those 2 was a problem. Let's not ask Vega to fill in for you, huh? Very well, a convinced Damrata replied. In that case, Misha then? Yeah, let's go with that. The bosses were nicknamed the Gold, the Lover, and the Power, the 3 symbols of a man's creed. Okay. Misha, the Lover, was someone you never wanted to let your guard down around, but she at least listened to reason. Vega, the Power, was a handful. He was a living, breathing personification of violence, as his name suggested. Damrata could do nothing to sway his mind. He only listened to direct orders from the boy, who knew that well enough and didn't want Damrata to deal with him. That sounds good, sir. So, how should we wind down the slave trade I have been working on here? Oh, right, there was that, wasn't there? The Orthus slave market always was a pain to deal with. Let's shut it down. I never liked slavery anyway. I have no objections, but are we just going to release all the rare monsters we circulate around Misha's Echidna Club? Nah, or no. Anything designated confidential should be treated the same as always. We still have a link to the Rosa family. We might as well use it. Very well. I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, said Damrata before he took his leave. The boy closed his eyes, gleefully moving the mental chess pieces around in his brain. Then he heard the tapping of footsteps. His lips curled into a smile as he spoke to the woman behind him, a secretary. You were listening, weren't you, Kazalim? I sure was, boss. Why are you intent on dismantling Orthurus now? This was Kazalim, a trusted confidant and advisor to the boy. It's simple. I thought I'd let him play the good guy on this. Is that the only reason? Do I really need to say the other one? That slime controls the entire forest of Jura, from one end to the other. If we go on monster hunting in there, we'd get crushed. So why don't we dissolve Orthurus now while it'd be to our advantage? Yeah, I suppose. We just need to protect our core assets, huh? Like a lizard that lost its tail. Right? So, can I leave the arrangements to you? Let him play the good guy. Oh, him, you mean? You come up with the most interesting ideas sometimes, boss. All right, I'll take care of it. Thanks, Kazalim. Of course. Also, not to change the subject, but can you call me Kagali? The boy turned towards Kazalim, eyebrows raised. Oh, you're finally going through with it, huh? Mm-hmm. With Clayman dead, it's time to step up. Until I have had my revenge against Leon, I'm putting the Demon Lord Kazalim name on ice. Sure thing. In that case, get to work, Kagali. Yes, sir. They gave each other a glance and grin, opening the curtain on a new age of chaos. Done. Chapter 1.
We're not telling you, Rick. If you were away, that's your fault. You'll have to go back and rewatch it later. If you want to know who Dale is, that's your own business.
And he's not the race car driver.
That we know
Sadly.
of. Alright, here we go. Wheel of Morality. Turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn.
Also, thank you. That was a very good exercise. I needed to practice all those. Oh, although my throat is like, wah, help. See.
Just hope you don't get picked on the wheel.
It could very well happen.
Woo!
Oh.
You
Good.
have
I need
1,
water.
2, 3.
I feel too
5,
giggly to read effectively.
6. You have 6 pages.
Oh, excuse me.
Cool.
Yep.
I already love this sentence.
We're already
Things
trying
became
to get...
much
We're trying to get to. We're starting on page 15, and we're trying to get to 78. Good luck.
Okay.
Yep.
Things became much, much harder after all that. Getting everything settled was more exhausting for me than fighting Hinata. A fact I made sure remained a closely guarded secret. What had happened? Well, Luminous, the single god worshipped by the Western Holy Church, was none other than Demon Lord Valentine. Her real name was Luminous Valentine all along. She had been using a trusted confidant as a stand-in, giving him her name, Valentine, so he could fully play the part of Demon Lord in her stead. That, of course, was all in the past now that Valdora had so breezily blown her cover at the last Walpurgis Council. The Crusaders, the Team of Paladin Knights, led by Hinata, stood in opposition to the Demon Lord Valentine, which earned the Empire the support of the general public. The entire setup was wholly contrived, something Hinata knew all along, but whatever rational sense the arrangement made, why did she go along with it? It was out of my hands.
Like,
Jesus.
Not a fucking race!
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like... but it said what happened. I'm like, oh, this is a long-winded explanation. Let's get
this is a recap.
I'm okay with it. Let's do it.
Okay. Anyways,
And then somebody redeemed Miss
This one's
Piggy.
like,
Good.
it was
I
out
don't
of
think
my
you could
hands.
do that and Miss
Now you
Piggy.
have to do this. Now you have to do this fast-talking speech as Miss Piggy.
And Goofy.
The
Next.
Goofy one's gonna be tough.
Look, the voice torture is going to be great.
Oh, it's gonna be
Goofy's slowed down, so good luck with that.
Yeah. It was out of my hands, she said, sighing. Lady Luminous defeated me. Lady Luminous defeated me when I tried to put a stop to things myself. Not that she was much interested in the people's support in the first place. She must have sensed my skepticism. Reluctant or not, apparently. Hinata was incapable of defying Luminous's will. She did, however, extract a promise from her that no civilians would be harmed in the process. As long as she stuck to that, Hinata was willing to hold up her end of the bargain.
Whoa, what was that change?
She does that, though. Miss Piggy sometimes does like a side-handed...
Yeah, when
like,
she gets
deeper voice.
angry, yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
if you're not careful, I'll turn you into frog legs.
Yeah.
It's really hard
there
for me
you
to do that.
Yeah, no,
that was
I
really
didn't
good.
expect you to do the long-winded one and then the voice at the same time.
All right.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Goofy.
But as the man who was with her then explained, this ploy wasn't Hinata's doing in the first place. No, I was the one who came up with the plan. I was the one who came up with the plan. My brother Roy was all for it. Lady Luminous had little to do with it, and Hinata was so against it at first that she tried to take us all down. If anyone has an issue with it, they should complain to me, not her. This was Louis, the Holy Emperor, as he called himself. All right, so, Your Majesty, Mr. Emperor? He chuckled. Just Louis is fine, my demon lord. Yeah, even though the paladins were right in front of us, he apparently didn't have much time for formality. Given how I was a demon lord, just like his boss, Luminous, I suppose, being casual with people like me came naturally. How do you say this name? Louis then embarked on a recap of recent events, loudly, Wooey enough for the paladins to hear.
You gotta watch out for Wooey.
Wooey's such a pain in my ass.
Wooey. Whoa, whoa.
You're 2 years old. You don't swear.
Oh, Lord.
Ay. Oh, Wooey.
So the Valentine I met at Walpurgis was your brother?
Walpurgis.
Indeed, my younger twin brother, to be more precise. Unfortunately, it seems he was killed by unknown assailants on the way home from the council. Oh no, that was still whatever. Too late.
That was a line.
Huh? Yeah, too late now. Huh? Killed? He didn't look or sound too broken up about it, but this news was a kind of surprise. I mean, stand-in or not, the Demon Lord Valentine was clearly a powerful dude. Yes, Roy had a tendency to be overly confident. He must have left himself exposed. The Western Holy Church has many enemies. There are quite a few nations who see the Holy Emperor Lubelius as an eyesore. I imagine one of their assassins must have caught my brother unawares. It's a great disappointment. Despite his lack of grief, Louis didn't seem wholly unmoved by the loss. Louis was pretty strong, too. I could see that much. But if his Demon Lord-class brother was now dead, he must not have been too optimistic about his own future. I'd been enlisting Roy to work with the new recruits lately, for on-the-field training. That's Hinata. Son of a bitch! I'd been enlisting Roy to work with the new recruits lately, for on-the-field training, said Hinata. One time, Sare actually managed to overpower him in battle, so he'd clearly been off his game. But we still need to watch out for whoever killed him. Not that any of that matters to you, I assume. She had a point. Roy had left hardly any impact on my life at all. Now, at least, I had a handle on Louis, Valentine, and Luminous, as did the Crusaders listening in on us. This was all news to them, and they were all shocked into silence. Now Hinata turned to her soldiers. All right, you all heard us. It wasn't my intention to deceive you, but I suppose that's how it worked out, isn't it? Lady Hinata! She raised a hand to stop the questions before it began. I couldn't tell any of you, she coldly continued. We needed to have as few people in on the plan as possible. If any of you revealed it, we would have been forced to execute you. Wow, no mincing words, huh, Hinata? Well, you won't trick old Arnaud here. The god, or should I say the Demon Lord Luminous, threatened you into doing this, didn't she? This Arnaud guy was awfully brash. Hinata, however, swiftly shut him down. No, I told you. Our citizens are under the protection of Lady Luminous. That's the truth. So I've chosen to carry out her will as long as she remains friendly to humanity. You will not insult her around me, Arnaud. She shot her steely-eyed paladin a glare. I could see where this misunderstanding came from. No wonder Shizu had been concerned. Hey now. Hey now, I said.
Yeah.
Come on, Hinata. Huh?
Hey now, you're a rock star.
Oh.
Get your game on. Let's play.
No, go play.
Yes.
Come on, Hinata. Why don't you try being a bit kinder? That's not nearly enough explanation for them. I'm sorry, does this involve you? Her glare was on me. Clearly she wanted me to knock it off. I kind of think it does, doesn't it? Because it'd be kind of annoying if you guys started infighting with each other here. I don't need your concern, thanks. Besides, there's no need to worry, Arnaud said, cutting her off. You have fully earned our trust, Lady Hinata. Arnaud is right. His compatriot, Renard, echoed. God, changing the voices! Arnaud is right, his compatriot Renard echoed. Good Demon Lord Rimuru, we are led by Lady Hinata, not Luminous. There is no disagreement that could possibly separate us. They might have all had their own thoughts about it, but none of that trumped the faith they had in Hinata. Having a trust-based relationship really is the most important thing, isn't it? Well, all right, I said, nodding. Arnaud, okay. Besides, after watching that, Arnaud pointed up, pausing. I knew what he was getting at. There, in the air above Luminous and Veldora had just engaged in a battle that was nothing short of breathtaking. As much as I wished they hadn't, I kept everyone on the ground safe through Uriel's absolute defense skill. But they fought over such a large range, I couldn't say if there'd be any outside casualties. Anyone who had seen Luminous's ferocious attack would be just as flummoxed as Arnaud. Frankly, who's saying this? It doesn't tell me. Oh no. Looking at that battle, I can understand how Lady Hinata was defeated. No, she certainly doesn't call herself a god for show. If she turned her back on humanity, there'd be nothing we could do about it. To the Crusaders, the sight of it was far more convincing than any speech I could have given them. Well, Louis said, there is no need to concern yourselves about that. Lady Luminous is a generous god. She has no interest in tormenting those under her divine protection. Why else has she proven to be so friendly toward the humans who do not try to defy her? Of course, no one here is allowed to divulge her true identity, but maintaining confidentiality about the whole Demon Lord thing was top priority to him. It was Veldora who blew her cover anyway, so I saw no reason not to cooperate with that effort. And the other paladins seemed convinced this was a valid thing to do, mainly because Hinata wanted it, as far as I could tell. They must have loved her a lot more than I thought, so I didn't think I had anything to worry about, which was good, because in my eyes, Hinata tended to be too terse, too blunt, too easily misunderstood for her own good. Were you thinking something rude about me again? Huh? No, I wasn't. Does she have ESP or something? She's got to be reading my mind.
Incorrect. No influence of that sort detected.
No, Raphael? Then maybe she just has the uncanniest sixth sense ever. Better watch what I'm thinking around her. At that very moment, he came onto the scene, falling at terminal velocity from the sky, of course, and making a small crater on the ground. He stood right back up, though, none the worse for wear, and ran up to me. It was Veldora, obviously, and now he was sidling up behind me, using me as a shield as he glared up at the sky. Ahead of him, up above, I could see a beautiful silver-haired young woman, a mask of rage on her face as she floated in midair. Rimu, give that pig-headed woman a piece of your mind. I'm giving her as generous an apology as I can, but she refuses to listen. Yeah, sure. But can you please stop bringing me into this? Seriously. This time, at least, it was completely Veldora's fault. Has it never not been? If you think about it, he hadn't even been resurrected for that long, and already I felt like he'd been a huge thorn in my side. I had been watching them, but the method Veldora chose for his apology only served to rile up Luminous. She was trying to put her sword away, and then he went off like, "Quahahaha! I had no bad intentions back then! Call it a youthful mistake, and forgive me with your most generous of hearts." That was easily enough to set her off. "Bring that lizard here," she ordered me in a voice that'd make your hair stand on end, as she glared behind me at Veldora in all his haughtiness. Frankly, I didn't want to get on Luminous's bad side over something like this. I knew exactly how she felt. This was no apology at all. Veldora ought to be taught a lesson over this, I thought, so... All right. Without hesitation, I grabbed Veldora by the neck and presented him to Luminous. "Rimuru, you've betrayed me!" At a time like this, it's important you get your message across. I needed to make sure everything was crystal clear to everyone about this. If I didn't want Luminous to have any lingering resentments, she gave me a surprised look. She gave me a surprised look, then let out a smile cold enough to freeze blood. "Yes, I'm glad to see, Rimuru, that you possess great sense of perception, unlike that lizard over there." "Oh, it's nothing that great, but I know he's been a real thorn in your side this time. If you agree to forgive him afterward, you can feel free to rake him over the coals as much as you like." Luminous grinned and nodded. I will give that some thought." That seemed to smooth things over with Luminous well enough. Veldora was shouting things like, "Wait, does my opinion not matter at all?" as she dragged him away, but neither she nor I was paying attention. Time to let off the steam I've been building up. Embracing drain! Gah! It looked like Luminous was giving Veldora a hug, but there was certainly no sweet sentiment behind it. It was really more of a bear hug despite the height difference. You'd think that wouldn't be enough to hurt Veldora much, but...
Understood. She is absorbing the magical energy from the target, while injecting it with signals of intense pain and discomfort. These signals likely install themselves into the soul of the individual until cut off, regardless of cancel pain possession.
The picture.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's great.
She looks so mad.
Oh yeah, she is.
She's just, "Your spine is mine."
Good lord. I don't know why, but I always choose gravelly voices because I'm an idiot.
I mean,
You
it
are.
works.
You are very much an idiot. But we won't
It's
hold that
okay.
against
I tend to lean towards a sneaky anime guy.
I mean, it works great for Veldora, but when I have to do it for the paladins and shit, I'm like, why am I doing this? Stop! So there's 3 stars. Is it still me or?
No, it's me.
Yeah,
Okay.
still you. Oh,
Cool.
No,
Get
I
some
read.
water.
I rolled the thing. So to a spiritual life form like Veldora, this attack hurts then? In a way, this seems a lot more effective than just destroying him. With the near infinite stores of energy Veldora had, no amount of energy draining on Luminous' part would kill him. But she could wear him out. Adding pain and discomfort to the mix would make for a punishment he'd not soon forget, I imagine. Oh, if anything gets redeemed, let me know, because I'm not looking at chat anymore. Yeah.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
All right. If you want the picture, buy the fucking book.
Mm.
You're like, pick! I'm like, we're not showing you, dude. Buy the book. Buy the book.
Pick of what?
Pick of Destiny.
I mean... Nah.
Luminous kept
What
going.
is my camera?
Well, what happened?
Camera's
Oh,
being
you're
weird.
spinny.
Hang on. It froze.
Yeah, you're spinny. We can hear your voice, but your camera's not.
Yeah,
All I
it's
see
it's
is-
just the
All I see
chair.
is your chair. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah,
Luminous,
hang on. I'll just reset it.
Luminous kept going with that attack for a decent amount of time. Veldora started crying out, tear-filled eyes longingly staring at me, but I watched silently and offered no mercy. This was for Veldora's sake. Or really, if sacrificing him was all it took to make Luminous feel better, I'd say I got a bargain. Call it a political transaction. Forgive me, Veldora. Well, an expressionless Louis observed. At least Lady Luminous seems to be enjoying herself. I'll let her work through all her negative emotions as of late. It'll let her work through all her negative emotions as of late. I couldn't be happier. Yes, Hinata said, nodding. Given we don't know who killed Roy, we don't want any needless hostility right now. By the way, just to be sure, that guy over there, is he... She looked at Veldora, a tad unsure of herself. Oh, right, we hadn't made introductions yet, huh? Yeah, that's Veldora. Kinda hard to tell when he's not in dragon form and all, but it's definitely him. I think he's kinda busy right now, but I'll introduce you to each other later. Wait, Reburu! Now! Introduce us now! Still haven't had enough, eh? So this was the storm dragon who Lady Luminous feared so much? Certainly the amount of sheer power is astounding, but Hinata looked disappointed. Who could blame her? Right now, Veldora was little more than comic relief. Not sort of draconic majesty no sort of draconic majesty whatsoever. It was hard to believe this was a catastrophe-level monster. Straight out of a nightmare. The other paladins must have thought the same thing, because they couldn't have looked more confused. I can't believe it. That's the storm dragon we were told such terrifying tales about? Surely you jest. I honestly feel a little sorry for him.
I don't jest, and never call me Shirley.
I watched that movie.
I feel like one of his
think
subordinates would say that to him on his behalf.
Could... Oh, somebody asked if they're going to refund their the exercises.
Huh?
Somebody asked, there's still a bunch of exercises. Are we going to refund them? Question mark.
No.
So, okay. So I was going to say it.
Yeah. It's not my fault that you haven't paid attention to any of the shows recently. We do all the exercises at the end. Anyway.
More like catastrophe level weeb. That's what it says in the chat.
Can I finish reading?
You have the floor.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Where was I? I don't even fucking know anymore.
I think the form he has taken.
Surely you jest. Yeah.
We'll introduce this now. So, Draconic Majesty. I can't believe... Oh, surely... Oh, I think the form he had taken was tricking a few of the paladins, to be honest. Plus, I'd based my own replication on a younger Shizu. So, similarly, if Veldora kept his mouth shut, he looked like a pretty handsome young man. If a guy like him was shouting for help with that desperate plea in his eyes, It moved the hearts of an untold numbers of women. But don't be fooled. Indulge him just a little bit and he'll walk all over you. I needed to teach him some firm discipline right away, or else I would pay dearly for it. Report, the aura of of Veldora, the storm dragon, previously in danger of spontaneously combusting, has fallen back within the threshold of stability. What? Wait a second. Did Raphael predict Luminous would do that too? No way. That was a bit much even for me to swallow. And I'm Kirby. It'd be impossible.
I have gluttony.
It'd be impossible to read that far ahead. No need to give him that much credit. The fight with Hinata had followed Raphael's plan so closely, though, I couldn't help but feel that way. I shook my head, banishing the thought. Right. I'd say it's time to head out. I know we've had a few misunderstandings, but once things calm down, I'd like to discuss our future plans. With that, I guided the paladins back to town. Rigurd was waiting for us at the gate, panting. I had sent Soe on ahead to send the news, and he had just now run out to greet us. He didn't need to do that. I was sure I gave him ample warning, but the guy just loves to run, I guess. On behalf of the city of Tempest, he said with a friendly smile, I welcome each and every one of you. Oh, yeah! Anyway.
Yeah.
Snap into a slime gym!
Step into a Slim Jim.
Slime
To the Grand Tour.
Slime gym. Slime gym. Snap into a slime gym.
Yeah.
Step into the slime tour.
Why isn't it a slime jime? Keep the rhyme.
Because we don't do
It's
the
like a
rhymes.
meaty go-gurt.
It's a slim jim and gross. Slime gime? Ew.
Okay, now that I hear it.
Yeah.
Sounds like some
Now
sort
it's
of
slime
venereal
time.
disease. Anyway.
Yeah.
Chlamydia.
Nickelodeon slime. Oh, that's where they get the Nickelodeon slime.
Ugh.
Llama time.
Anyway.
Mm.
Okay. Nice. Smile
Someone
there.
redeem llama time.
Yeah, I know. He said it, and I was doing it.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. He must have learned it as part of his diplomatic efforts. And it put a professional service worker to shame. I appreciate it, especially given how we had our swords at the ready against these guys not long ago. We will prepare meals for all of you, so please let us know if there's anything you'd prefer to have. I had to hand it to Rigurd's zeal for study, making sure to check if anyone had any allergies or religious reasons to avoid certain foods. He must have been roping in adventurers and merchants while I wasn't paying attention, learning about human culture and thought. Did anyone believe that this guy used to be a helpless goblin? Oh, there's no need to go out of your way for us. Hinata looked a bit awkward about this, preparing to turn the offer down, but we needed to talk about our future relations. It was already evening by now, so that talk would likely come the next day, and since they were here anyway, I couldn't ignore a chance to advertise our city a little. Don't worry about it. We can talk in more detail tomorrow, so for today, let's treat ourselves to a peacemaking party. Oh, a party! A fine idea! And with that, will come fine drink, yes? Oh, okay, yeah. Veldora, looking none the worse for wear after Luminous's punishment, was naturally the first to react. He was in fine shape, after all. Not that I had been concerned. If this is a feast, I imagine I am invited as well. Whoa! Luminous, out of nowhere, was standing right next to me. She was invited, of course, but were things really square with her and Veldora? Well, sure, but, what do I call you? Lord Luminous? Don't be weird. Luminous is fine. I suppose it was. We were fellow Octogram members. All right, Luminous, then. And you're safe calling me Rimuru, too. But about Veldora, I will not forgive him. That much is certain. I've come here today to atone for what my servants have done, in deference to you, Rimuru. I will give that lizard his full punishment another day. Oh, she's just calling me straight Rimuru. I thought she'd act more high and mighty, but I guess she's a lot more unaffected than that. I was thinking about how I might just get along with her when Veldora started acting out again, and Luminous took the bait, of course. What? I've already had more than enough punishment. Silence you. I've already given you my concessions. Or if you'd prefer, we could settle this right here. Very well. Allow me to show you the sheer scale of my might. They fought like cats and dogs. I wasn't sure they were enemies at all, really. Maybe the term frenemies was invented to describe this. Stop it, you idiot. No violent rages within city limits. I had to put my foot down. Otherwise, they'd be apt to tear the whole place down. Luminous, at least, seemed to be happy, no doubt appreciating all the magical energy she had sucked out of Veldora's body. It seemed like she was letting bygones be bygones for now. So maybe it wasn't best not to needlessly prod her. If she's joining in our party, let's give her the time of her life. So, about this party, I would expect the kind of first-class dining you'd get at Walpurgis, but are you okay with that? Luminous nodded, thankfully. I did not attend the last one because I had a bad feeling about it, but that was not the... But that was not the only reason. My own team of cooks produced delicacies similar in quality to what you found over there, and eating is already optional for me. One simply gets bored of it over time. But you have rare and uncommon spirits here, no? Given how that lizard is already licking his lips, I must have a lot to look forward to. I love that she's literally calling a true dragon a lizard. So it's like,
Yeah.
He's powerful enough to get away with it.
So got downgraded. Poor fucker got downgraded so quick.
He is comic relief, though.
He is.
I mean, he has to. What else could you do with him at this point? It's like Beerus in a way.
Lady Luminous, do you not feel that is too careless of you? An elderly servant of hers interjected. I say elderly strictly in terms of outward appearance. He had extraordinarily good posture, and from the general aura he presented, I could tell this wasn't some guy off the street. No, this servant was more comparable to Louis standing adjacent. Luminous gave this servant a dissatisfied look. Why do you insist on opening your mouth constantly, Gunther? This is exactly why I didn't want to take you. Because it is my duty, my lady. Well, enough of that. Remir seems like a sensible person to me. I'm not about to settle things with Veldora right here. There's nothing you need to worry about. But I said enough! You have no right to boss me around, a demon lord as old as I am. I bid you to go back ahead of me. Gunther gave a tired sigh to this show of force from his master. But he couldn't defy her. After a few moments of thought, he carried out her orders. I will return now, in that case. Luminous smiled. Very good. Thank you, Gunther. You worry far too much. We have Louis and Hinata here. I cannot help but worry about my princess, he replied, looking at Louis. I leave her in your hands, Louis. Understood. Louis wasn't too enthused about this either. His expression didn't change, but I could sense it anyway. Maybe Luminous was in the habit of using and abusing them both on a regular basis, or at least that's what the conversation suggested to me. Regardless, Gunther vanished the moment he heard Louis' reply. Once he was sure he was gone, Luminous brightened up. And now that I've swatted that bothersome gnat away, we have a party to enjoy. Thus, Hinata and everyone under her on hand was joining the feast, whether they wanted to or not. Nobody dared voice any disagreement. Nobody was foolish enough to rile Luminous. That was how spectacular her fight with Veldora had been, really. It might have been a little light sparring from their perspective, but if any of the paladins got too close, it would have spelled disaster for them. It's a good thing I was around to stop them just now, or the fallout around town would have been catastrophic. Some of them had turned pale, contemplating what they had just narrowly avoided, while others hadn't even realized the gravity of it all yet, which, yeah, if you were a paladin, today's myriad of events must have been mind-blowing. My battle with Hinata was superhuman enough as it was, but then we extinguished the 7 days clergy, and then they found out the god they worshipped all along was a demon lord. Then, to cap it off, the Veldora fight. It seemed to me that their faith in Hinata was the only thing that allowed them to keep it together, but this would take time for them to fully accept. But hey, let's all relax for today, okay? Rigard, perhaps picking up on this, clapped his hands a few times and began barking out orders, sending the townspeople around him scurrying in all directions. Some collected everyone's horses, some approached the paladins to accept their weapons and armor, some gave out potions to the wounded, and I guess the paladins really did believe in Hinata, because once she handed her gear over, the rest all followed. Some were even trying out our recovery potion, acting shocked at the results. I thought this was going to be harder for some reason, but this was actually pretty chill. Yeah. Chill out, bitches.
Real quick, this killed me. The whole sentence where, why do you insist on opening your mouth constantly, Gunther? Can anyone here do a good Ice King?
I don't even know what you're talking about, so no.
That's the Tom Kenny Adventure Time voice, right?
Yeah.
That's like the...
Why do you insist on opening your mouth?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Oh.
Why do you insist on opening your shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that killed me. I love that this sentence exists
page,
in this.
2 page, 3
Mhm.
page,
Okay.
4 page, 5 page. Okay, another
Red
6
fish,
pages
blue
for me.
Red page, blue
Cool.
page. Yep.
Yeah, another 6 pages for me. Yay.
Woo!
Now, it will take some time before the meal is ready, so why not take a bath first to take the grime off your bodies? We have rooms prepared for all of you, of course, so you may feel free to relax as well. The paladins didn't seem to understand what any of that meant. I knew the people of Inglacia were in the habit of bathing regularly. I think the words used were all familiar to them. Hinata's team members were using inns along the way, apparently, and they all definitely had baths. Perhaps they even imagined monsters wanting a dip now and then, too. Guys, if you want a good idea of what Callie from the Valley sounds like, check out episode 5, I think it was, of She-Hulk. It was either 4 or 5, with the Wongers! Like, that girl, Megan? Or
I'll have to keep that in mind
Madison.
when I watch it.
Madison, 2 N's and a Y, but it's not where you think. That's Callie from the Valley.
Oh, dude.
100%. Like, oh my God.
Good to know.
And she is
Be
so
good for
drunk.
voice study.
She is so drunk for all of it.
Let's get fucking wasted.
Right. All right.
Gonna get freaking wasted tonight.
Well,
Yeah,
prepare to
exactly.
be amazed,
Perfect.
guys. The baths we got here will beat anything you'll see in your capital. Trust me. Really more of a hot spring, in fact, and I've got everything from a large pool-like room to private open-air baths, just like a hot spring resort town back in Japan. I've got all kinds of different types to try out. It makes for killer advertising, and besides, it just feels good when you're all tired out. They'd also need some new clothes to change into, wouldn't they? The simple gear under their armor was battered and torn, a hopeless mess after all the fighting they'd been through. A change of clothes should be good PR, too, I thought. Maybe some of the hemp-based jinbei shirt and short outfits we just developed. We had the more kimono-like yukata for the women, too, and a pretty broad color selection, even. Oh, don't you worry.
Can I pause for a second? I just imagine when you said the Jinbei shirt, it's like, is it just a shirt with Jinbei from One Piece on it?
I do like Jinbei.
I'm ignoring that.
Yeah.
Who's Jim Day?
From One Piece.
Man.
He hasn't watched One Piece.
Fishman Karate.
Yeah, listen, guys. He runs a thing called Wait, You Haven't Seen? For a reason.
That's fair.
Once again,
Yeah.
This is the motherfucker who auditioned for Slime Abridged without watching an episode of Slime. The balls on this, man.
They're pretty big.
I mean, at least I watched the show originally.
Yeah, man. All right, anyway.
Go ahead.
Oh, don't worry, Haruna told me with a grin. Lady Shuna is already underway with preparations. I guess I had nothing to worry about. Let's get going then. All right, everyone, please enjoy our baths, the pride of our nation. The water is all pumped in from a natural spring, and I guarantee you'll find it rejuvenating. Does absolute wonders for your skin, too. The salesman side of me was in full swing. Luminous swiftly took the bait. A bath? And good for the skin? Fascinating. I imagine you have saved your finest private bath chamber for me, yes? Private chamber? And then I remembered, in the Dwarven Kingdom, as advanced as their tech was, personal steam baths were the common custom. They didn't have bathhouses meant for use by great numbers of people at once. Inglacia had public facilities like that, but Bloomin didn't. If the common people wanted to keep clean, after all, there were household magic spells for that. No water required. Every town had people who'd cast them on you for a nominal fee. What all this meant was that in this world, there's no common unified custom of drawing a bath and just soaking in it for a while. A private bath was a grand luxury, something that would only be possessed by the upper class, and even then only in nations with a large population of otherworlders. I kept forgetting that, given how my home nation installed baths even in one-bedroom apartments. Luminous must have been anticipating some nobleman's grandiose gilded chamber of delights, but I was going to have to disappoint her. There was no telling how angry she'd be if I just guided her to our regular baths without explanation. I decided to address her misconceptions before anything else. No, we have baths that everyone can go in. Separated by gender, of course, but there's also a mixed bath if that's more of what you're into. I thought that would have been enough, but others reacted before her. What was that? Aha! Arnaud and the other male paladins had stars in their eyes. Heh, must have piqued their interest. Well, if you're interested, right over there we have... I stopped midway. Hinata's frigid stare was pointed right at me. She wasn't falling for it. Lady Luminous, let's go to a women's bath. This will be my first hot spring visit in a while, so this is a very exciting opportunity. Oh? Well, if you say so, Hinata. I will not stop you. I expected as much, but well. And here I was, hoping I could join Hinata and Luminous for a... Wait, hang on. I shouldn't give up yet. Maybe. Arnaud and his cohorts looked profoundly disappointed, but it was a fool's errand to expect the women to join the men in there. But what if it was just me? All right, I said, giving the paladins a suitably sheepish look. Let me guide you to the women's bath. I tried to walk away as casually as possible, but it wasn't going to be that easy. Wait one moment.
Oh.
Why are you trying to take us there? Why? You're gonna need a guide, Hinata. No need to panic yet. Just keep calm. Make it seem natural. You don't know the way there, do you? We have baths with different... you don't know the way there, do you? We have baths with different compositions of minerals and stuff. There's even a sauna. I just thought it'd be prudent to explain how it all worked. I had once guided 2 of the 3 Beasketeers through it all. I explained to them after they'd expressed an interest. They loved it, so that was now the custom I took. So yeah, I thought I could give you a better picture of how great all this stuff is, you know? Let me handle that, Sir Rimuru. I really didn't need Shion's support right now, thanks. Gotta take a firm hand. Oh, I don't know if I can rely on you alone, Shion. What? But hey, come on.
Ouch.
No need to be a stick in the mud. I'll even join you in there. I tried to sound as chill as possible. Now my going around the women's bath wouldn't seem odd at all. Hee hee hee. Perfect. The perfect plan. Now I could join her in the... No, wait. You used to be a man, didn't you? Why are you acting like it's completely normal for you to join us in there? She saw through it. I shouldn't be able to sweat, but I swore I could still feel a cold sensation running down my back. Luminous joined Hinata, skeptical, giving me a and focused look. Well, no, I mean... I was starting to panic, but before I could formulate a coherent thought... What is the matter with it? Sir Rimuru is Sir Rimuru. Shion, the one person I thought I couldn't count on here, swooped in to back me up. That's right, keep it going! I tried to mentally encourage her, but in the end, Shion was Shion too. But you can guide us around too, right? Of course! In that case, I'd like to ask you a favor. Would you mind? But wouldn't this be a good opportunity to prove to your leader that you can be relied upon? Oh! I see. In distressingly short order, Hinata had cajoled Shion to joining her side. Even worse, the two Beasketeers joining us chose that moment to speak up. Don't worry, Shion, we'll be there too, so if you forget anything, we can help. Quite so. We've become regulars at this point, so we know how it all works. Sir Rimuru? Shion replied, her mind made up. Please let me handle this. Sure, make me proud. And here I was hoping to get a look at Hinata's lovely naked body. But at this point, giving up was the only option left. I had just lost the chance of a lifetime, and I had to face up to that, as much as it distressed me. Pulling myself back together, I turned toward Benimaru. Well, I'll pay the men's bath a visit for the first time in a while. That's one thing I like to give myself credit for, my ability to mentally switch gears fast. Okay, who wants to scrub my back? Nothing like letting water from deep in the mountains take the sweat and fatigue away. Allow me, sir. Benimaru and the gang loved the hot spring we'd all built together. Going in as a group, now and then, wasn't such a bad thing. Will you do my back, Rimuru? Why do I have to do something like that? I had no interest in dealing with Veldora. Brushing him off, I took the lead as we all headed over. Man, it's literally just shit on Veldora Day is what it feels like.
It really is.
Pretty much.
The majority of paladins
That's on the 15th.
The majority of paladins were male, nearly 100 in all, but that was no problem for my main bathhouse facility. If there was just one, that would fill it up, but we had several, allowing them all to bathe at once. I could tell some of them were nervous. It must have been exciting for them. I'd love to give them a bit of a shock. As I walked on, thinking this over, I ran into Shuna. I've prepared the clothing, but why are you together with the gentleman, Sir Rimuru? The question was casual enough, but her eyes weren't smiling. It gave me pause. Oh, I just thought I'd join them in the baths. Shuna gave me a cute little grin. Uh-oh. Doesn't that mean she's incredibly angry? How do you mean? She asked, sizing us up before squaring her gaze upon Benimaru and Soe. I'm sorry. Sir Rimuru has an errand to handle, so I'm afraid he cannot join you. Also, Benimaru and Soe, I would like to speak with you later. And then Soe's just silent. Yeah.
So he's like, whatever your ellipses would be.
Hold on. Everyone, quiet. Shim. There we go. Authentic Soe silence.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Isn't he amazing, guys? Isn't he just the best?
The two fell silent under Shuna's pressure. I wasn't sure what this was about, but they must have felt it wise to avoid stoking her rage any further. Me, meanwhile, I was being assigned to the bath in my detached house. How could it be? What set off Shuna like this? I had no idea, even as Shuna pointed me straight back home.
Go home, Rimuru.
So
your bath is that way.
Shuna about to drag him into the baths?
I mean, to be fair, Rimuru,
his own
the
bath,
men's
yeah.
is also full of like dudes, man. Like
That's
big dudes.
like some
They're
crazy
cool.
shit. I can't tell who that is, and clearly neither can the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Do better.
Honestly, it's a win-win situation for him in my eyes, but you know.
No,
I mean,
I'm not reading again. Fuck that.
What you don't want? What? Like you don't want to bathe a Rieger?
You don't want another? You don't want make it 18 pages
No.
in a row?
Shim, it is
Pages
your
of
turn.
bath time.
It
Okay,
is
you got
your
it.
turn. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
bathing
so you
with
got-
Riegerd.
Oh god.
Okay.
Oh no!
Let me
Let's
wash
add
your back,
simulator
sir.
to the end
Oh,
of that and
yeah.
make it more terrifying.
No.
No, it just sounds funny. After wrapping up a quick bath, I decided to check on how our prep work was going. We'd be using the banquet hall for the festivities. With all the events we'd been hosting lately, I had this hall hastily built for us. It had only just been completed. Basically, it looked like a circular domed stadium, about the size of a gymnasium inside. Internally, it was wide open, the floor lined with tatami mats. It was meant to serve as an evacuation site in case of emergency, so it could hold a fair number of people. We had a lot of space to work with, so we used steel frame to construct a building of a decent size and sturdiness. But over time, this was going to change to magisteel. Our nation, and all the powerful Magicborn living in it, had a lot of natural advantages like that. As I thought about this, food began to be delivered on serving trays, on a set of intricate-looking bowls like you'd see in a fancy restaurant. I had shown them how to knead clay into bowls like that, but then the children started imitating me. Nowadays, you saw a lot of really impressive pieces. For colors, they made dyes out of herbal extracts or mixed weird ores into the clay, resulting in some dazzling work at times.
Shit, that reminds me. I'll be right back. Keep going.
Okay. The children's output was being used in the homes of families across town. It's important to experiment with a lot of things, right? You never know what's going to stick. The trays themselves were intricately detailed as well, made by Dole using processed wood from other projects. The kids started imitating that too, and these days, handicraft sessions were part of regular recreation and Tempest. Looking at it in this way, from hot springs to the containers the food came in, my personal tastes were starting to show their presence everywhere. Compared with those first few days of chewing on grass, life had become unbelievably better for me. The food itself was really enjoyable now too. I guess it's easier to strive for something if you really like, or if you really feel like it'll benefit you personally. He pooing? I don't know, man. It's a good question.
He remembered something.
I don't know. The main dish on tonight's menu was tempura. Excellent. I mean, progressing this far was seriously moving to me. It looked perfect. It tasted amazing. All the work of Shuna in the galley. Definitely not Shion, it went without saying. Whether Shion had the master chef skill or not, one look at her attempts at cuisine and you knew she couldn't be trusted with the responsibilities of a kitchen. This tempura had also come about after I showed my memories to Shuna and we developed each component, piece by piece. And that wasn't all. Fried chicken, hamburger, steak, croquettes, fried shrimp. I loved it all, and it went without saying that Milim did too. For someone like me, not that well versed in cooking, trying to explain the difference between fried shrimp and tempura was quite a challenge. In simple terms, all you're doing is taking shrimp, coating it with batter, and frying it in oil. But the batter makes all the difference in texture and taste, you know. Frying can be done in a bunch of different ways too, and trying to recreate that based on my hazy memories of look and feel and taste proved fiendishly difficult. It took work, and now, thanks to Shuna's effort, it had come all the way here. Inglacia had a lot of good food to enjoy, but nothing I'd describe as Japanese. Guy Crimson had prepared a Western-style full-course meal for me, but I just didn't see a lot of Asian influence in this world's cuisine. One reason for that, few of the Western nations bordered an ocean, so seafood wasn't in plentiful supply. Attempting to preserve the freshness of ingredients with magic, it was explained to me, took a massive investment that few were willing to make. Thus, even if you had otherworlders who ran kitchens back in Japan, they couldn't do much without the right raw materials. That made me recall the Japanese otherworlder, Yoshida, who ran that bakery and cake shop I liked in Inglacia.
Okay, speaking of intricate bowls.
Yeah. Ooh, that is very intricate.
Oh, you just get that in? Or is that this one you showed before?
Is that Rimuru?
Yeah,
can't tell.
That's a
Yeah.
slime bowl.
Yeah.
I
love it.
Well
Slime bowl.
The slime
Slime
cup.
And the mug.
Coffee cup.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
The shine from the right's kind of blocking it.
But yeah, this
I
is
like
this is a ramen bowl.
Ooh, okay.
So
Of course it's a ramen bowl.
yeah,
That's
nice.
a ramen bowl? I thought it looked like a coffee cup.
No, he's talking about the
Shut up.
bowl.
Yeah, but he was holding the cup.
Oh, okay.
Like, this is the ramen bowl with the handle and
Stab
the...
you, bitch.
Anything is a ramen bowl. For
With
the tryhard.
what? The
And
cup?
now back to reading.
True.
The bowl?
Okay. Anyway, he lamented how he used to enjoy making drunken cakes with gin, bourbon, and so on, but just couldn't find anything like that in this world. I remember how excited he got after I told him I'd throw some his way. Thinking about that made me realize just how blessed I was over here. Just because you have a recipe doesn't mean you'd pull it off flawlessly on the first try, after all. And with Japanese cuisine in particular, tracking down ingredients was a challenge. I do things like go to the sea and capture a bunch of different fish species to try and find an equivalent to make bonito flakes from. Having a skill like spatial motion made it possible to transport goods in as fresh as a condition as possible, which greatly expanded what was available to us. I wanted to build a transport network that wasn't so dependent on magic skills, but that was a topic for the future. Cuisine, after all, is culture itself. If a nation doesn't have a vibrant, expansive food culture, then, if you ask me, what's the point? Out of the three basic needs, food, clothing, and shelter, food was number one by far to me, although your mileage may vary. This was why I was expending, some would say wasting, a lot of energy developing new dishes. Wheat-based grain was easier than I surmised at first. I saw loaves of white bread in the Inglesian capital. If you were well off enough to afford it, it seemed like a daily staple. Studying the production process for that got us bread in Tempest in relatively short order. Right now, the main issue was to tackle was white rice. We still hadn't engineered something up to snuff taste-wise compared with what we saw in Japan, or compared with what one saw in Japan. Painstakingly curated and improved since ancient times. The quality just wasn't there. That was expected. I wasn't anticipating a sudden breakthrough with this one. Raising plants with magic, at least, sped up the harvest quite a bit. Although research was still at a halt right now due to the winter season. For the moment, we just had a few experimental rice plants growing indoors, managed by researchers. Real results seemed like they'd be a while to come. I actually did have a solution for this, though. When I asked Raphael about a potential answer, it gave it to me right off the bat. Or right off. Basically, use Shion's Master Chef skill to alter the resulting rice, tinkering the final plant rather than the initial seeds, after all, made improving the quality quite a bit easier. But was that really the right thing to do? It wasn't like anyone else could copy this method, and it seemed kind of ethically suspect to me. But given how much I relied on just that method to fine-tune our alcoholic drinks, I was in no position to moralize. Put my conscience and my appetite on the scales, and the latter's gonna win every time. Since we couldn't ask Shion to alter every harvest for us, our research continued. But I did have her engineer a small supply of lovely white rice, though. Just a bit. Mainly for my personal consumption. Shion was more than glad to help, so I gave the bag to Shuna and had her steam it up for special occasions. Occasions like this one. I was entertaining a demon lord. Let's live a little. Let's get fucking wasted. Sorry. If I wanted to make
like the idea that... I'm sorry, I was going to say... I love it, like, Raphael, basically the Reamer supercomputer, is recommending Shion to help cook.
Yeah, I mean, she's got the
like, there's just no other option with rice.
Yeah.
Well, the Master Chef skill and
we're really
guaranteed
that
results,
desperate for
like,
rice. I know,
Yeah, I
it
guess
still
if
seems
you're trying
kind of
to
funny.
guarantee results. It is kind of funny, but I can see it, because if you're trying to guarantee results, you don't know
the
what
irony
results
of it
are.
all.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and she's definitely not has rice before, so. If I wanted to make our relationship a good one, I had to demonstrate how useful my nation could be. The carrot and the stick. When someone you don't like treats you well for a change, your impression of them goes up much higher than it does with someone you're already good on terms with. Already on good terms with. Imagine the ex-juvenile delinquent who volunteers to help out kids for charity. That kind of thing. Maybe a little show like that could turn Luminous and crew to my side. I wasn't sure the Paladins would be that gullible, but appealing to everyone's stomachs is a pretty classic and effective strategy to take. It was a tad underhanded, but it was also a great excuse to turn this evening's feast into an extravaganza. And sure, the white rice might disagree with their palates. What? White rice is fucking amazing. Anyway, that particular element of our cuisine is more for me as a Japanese person. But I bet Hinata would appreciate it. It sure wowed me after going without it for a while. Plus, who doesn't like tempura?
Just say, what? Fucking white rice is amazing. Is that what you... Yeah. How very ageist of you.
Excuse me. White rice is like the fucking fuel of everybody, okay? It's delicious.
No.
Everyone does something different with it. Everyone does something different with rice, dude. It's crazy. I love it.
Uncle Ben didn't work with white rice.
But everyone does something different with rice in general. It's like the fucking... Sorry. Anyway. That particular element of our cuisine is more for me. What? What'd you say?
Okay. I'm just imagining you were gonna be like, "Don't even get me started on white rice."
Oh man, just a heads up: Spanish rice is not white.
Yeah, it's what was it? Well, they have paella, but it's not white. It's something different, right? But anyway. But I bet Hinata would appreciate it. It sure wowed me after going without it for a while. Plus, who doesn't like tempura? Nobody, that's who. That is true. It was already a hit with the adventurers and merchants. Benimaru, in particular, was actually a huge fan. Clearly, there were no obstacles to its acceptance in this world. As I reflected on this, the serving trays were all put into place. Now we just had to wait for the paladins to get out of the bath.
All right, now I gotta spin the wheel.
Woo!
Well, morality.
Hammer decides to work with me.
Fuck. All right. Just when I get some ice cream.
Every-
Just when I get some ice cream. By the way, guys, if you want to see this next picture that everybody's going to be commenting on soon, buy the fucking book. Alrighty. The place settings were lined up in the shape of the letter C. You know, pirates first love, the sea. Arr. Right, yeah.
It's also for Cookie.
With 3, yes,
Cookie.
that's good enough for me. Yeah, and it works with Reamerism. C is for Cookie. That's why we place the
Good
C's.
enough for me.
No. No.
Yeah.
It's this way for Reamerists. Like C is for Cookie. That's how we place the seats. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, all right. I've had my fun.
Yeah.
With 3 seats at the center, me in the middle, Veldora and Luminous on either side. It gave me a view of everyone at the banquet, with the paladins and our city's officials facing each other along the arc. This had the nuance of an informal gathering, so I wanted to be sure people could at least see one another. Soon, the paladins were ushered into the banquet hall. They had just come out from the bath wearing the yukata and jinbei prepared for them. It must have been a novel experience, but they looked uncomfortable for the most part. You'd be hard-pressed to find something even more relaxing to wear around the house, after all. Kind of like lounging around in sweats all day. They all seemed a bit on edge as they were guided inside. The lack of tables and chairs must have thrown them, not to mention the custom of taking off their footwear before going up on the tatami floor. The goblinas guiding them along were in their element, however, demonstrating some pretty surprising elegance. Vester must have been teaching them well. I could tell some of the paladins weren't sure what to make of them. Luminous sat down first, the picture of high society, as she settled next to me. Louis was next, a practical mirror image of the former demon lord Roy, and every bit as dignified as his papal rank suggested. Third was Hinata, who, after sitting down, looked at me, determined. I have to apologize for all the trouble we've given you. What happened today was, as well as the last time we met, was thanks to my own poor judgment. It wasn't an order from Lady Luminous, and my paladins are not responsible for it. I don't know if you can find it in yourself to forgive me, but whoa, stop right there. I had to stop her before she started kowtowing to me on the tatami mat. Our first encounter? Yeah, that was all her fault, but our most recent rumble had all the misunderstanding, the 7 days guys pulling the strings, the 7 days guys pulling the strings behind it, and Luminous had already taken care of them. And with Diablo wrapping things up over in Farmus as well, I saw no reason to keep dragging out the issue. That's when I stepped in to interrupt her, but then I made an astonishing new discovery. I thought I could see it. The smoothly undulating twin peaks unfolding underneath her partially opened yukata.
She had hidden 2 peaches
slime,
under her dress.
Perverted slime. All right, anyway.
She hid 2 apples underneath her dress. She was probably saving them for later as a snack. How smart.
Street
Apples,
riff
that's
rap.
too small.
Street rap. Scoundrel, take that.
Scoundrel.
Just a little snack, guys.
Snack, guys.
Rip him open, take it back, guys.
All right. Slightly
Gotta
flush
gotta
after
face
the
the facts.
bath.
You're my only friend, Abu.
Who?
Who?
Anyway,
What?
slightly flushed after the bath and so supremely captivating. I hadn't deliberately tried for that, but man, talk about good timing. Was this Raphael at work? Understood. That is not the case. The reply sounded, sorry. Understood. That is not the case. That reply sounded a little cold to me, but it didn't matter. Oh man, I was starting to feel adventurous. Now would normally be when I began sporting.
Scandalous.
Now would normally be when I began sporting wood, but that thing was long gone. Ah well. A man never leaves his sense of adventure behind. Good thing I don't get nosebleeds in this body either. Yukata though? Huh. Wow, talk about packing a punch. A woman fresh in the bath in a yukata. There's just no beating that. And if that woman was as beautiful as Hinata, the fearsome synergy that results, well, she got me. I gave in. Defeated, I'd forgive her for anything she'd done. In fact, I already had. All right, now does everybody see the picture?
By the way, that image. Woo! I'm clapping my hands. Get your mind out of together.
How old is she, by the way?
Boobas. How old is she now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Questions we don't need to ask.
Fuck.
I heard like 16 before?
She was a teenager when she got over here, but that was a long while ago.
Okay. Okay, so we're good. Everything's safe.
No, she is above 25. We are good.
Easily.
Okay.
Well, her body has stopped in like its 20s, but she's probably in her 30s or 40s at this point. But her body is still very much in kind of its mid to early 20s.
I love her hairstyle, actually. I like the way he draws hair.
What are you doing, guy?
I digress.
God,
Damn good picture right there.
I love your hair. Where'd you get it done?
Anyway, so
I should have Shuna do my hair like yours.
Jesus
Christ. Rimuru, where are you looking? Shuna had paused her serving, looking at me with a smile. It was strange. Her voice sounded so gentle, but something about it seemed as frozen as ice. No, nowhere, but Hinata. If that misunderstanding's all cleared up, then we're all good. I promise. If you could just drop your prejudices against monsters, then all the better. Hinata appeared lost for a moment at my forced change of the subject, but then wordlessly nodded. I knew I was asking a lot, really. A monster, in essence, was kind of like a violent offender with a gun in his hand. If you believe one without question and innocent people get killed later, you have a lot to recognize. You have to recognize that you set yourself up for failure. Maybe we should speak to each other, and maybe we could speak to each other, and maybe that didn't mean we could really understand. But this town could make it work. People were believing me and trying to play nice with humans. Even after Shion and Team Reborn had been killed by human hands. I mean, I know you won't trust me that easily or anything. You never know what the other side's really thinking, and I guess some monsters can be a lot slyer and more conniving than others. If you're a defender of humanity, you can't afford to be tricked all the time. True. Conversation is the first step to a common understanding, but it can lead to some dangerous transactions. You run the risk of making commitments that bind you, heart and soul. Yeah, I bet. But if you can at least not declare that all monsters are evil, we're totally fine with that. And if you got a monster you're iffy about, we'll take him in. If human society can't accept him, they'll be fine here. That was about the best compromise I could give. Any monsters deemed suspect could easily be taken into Tempest. Here in town, at least, we could be sure they wouldn't cause any trouble. Assuming we could reason with the guy, anyway. All right. I don't think our thoughts are going to change if I snap my fingers, but I will prohibit my ranks from condemning all monsters as evil. Is that all right with you, Lady Luminous? I care not for such trivial matters, but if it leads citizens to doubt their faith in me, I will not stand for that. Very well. I will observe that as our first priority. Luminous seemed convinced, given how the holy empire of Lubelius was wholly built around the people's faith in the god Luminous. Any cracks in that faith would affect the entire foundation of that belief. That religion holds great sway over the Western nations. I could understand Hinata's caution. If anything, though, I feel like Luminous underestimated the influence she had on people. She goes on about how she will not stand for things, but then she acts like she's above it all and none of it matters. Maybe being bandied around as a supreme being wasn't Luminous's intention at all. I could just have been overthinking it, but it seemed like Louis was the de facto head of the government. And Hinata did pretty much all of her errands for her. Even all this drama was perpetrated by the 7 days. But really, though? An old demon lord who's ruled in the shadows for so long was really just a lazy girl palming off responsibility on others? Yeah, how's that mirror looking, Rimuru? No way, no how.
Hot meat kettle.
She reminded me of the style I was aiming for with Tempest. There you go! Let the king reign, not govern. So I couldn't help thinking about it. Now Hinata's eyes were turned toward my officials. I must thank all of you as well. I promise I will not treat you as hostile enemies simply for being monsters. She bowed her head deeply, and the other paladins hurriedly followed her lead, shouting, "We're sorry!" together. Please think nothing of it, Rigurd said. Were it not for Sir Rimuru's orders, we would have considered humans our foes as well. In other words, my orders had changed their mind. For a goblin who's just trying his best to stay alive, I'm sure anyone who doesn't look like you is an enemy. I'm just glad you aren't against us, said Benimaru with a bold grin. I saw your battle against Sir Rimuru, and I doubt even I could have defeated you. The fact that his attention was devoted to combat was certainly very Benimaru-like. Soe nodded his solemn agreement next to him. Okay, there we go. Yeah. I just needed to make sure Shem nodded, that's all. The Soe nod, everyone. Yeah.
Great genius.
The world of monsters has always had a broad survival of the fittest streak to it. If you're deemed the enemy and killed for it, it's your own fault for being weaker. That's how Soe's mind worked, and he had no particular grudge against the paladins. Shion, meanwhile, was dubious. Hinata's apology must have confused her. Here, Shion, you forgive her too. I understand your pain and anger, but it's not like every human being on Earth is evil. You have some bad guys and some good guys. That's all there is to it. And monsters are the same way. You have to get a closer look if you want to really know anything. Plus, humans are capable of overcoming their mistakes. And not just them either, right? Us too. What's important is what's in your soul, isn't it? Instead of dividing all living things into humans and monsters, it was more important to see how they lived, what existed in their souls. I wanted Shion to understand that, but my pleas seemed to just unnerve her even more. Humans, I suppose, really were evil to her. I just didn't want her to think they were all that way. She was following my orders for now, but there's no telling when her frustrations would explode. I couldn't have that. Instead of just following my orders, I wanted her to move and act on her own free will. But perhaps I was too worried. In a single moment, Shion threw away all her hesitation. She never was one for thinking about matters too deeply. All right, she blurted out. Just like you, Sir Rimuru, I will judge good and bad people based on their souls. She beamed as if unshouldering some heavy burden. Maybe she had just climbed over some kind of tall barrier in her mind. It's not like I could see anyone's souls exactly, but if that one's Shion over, then great. Team Reborn didn't seem to have any issues either. There was no apparent bad blood with the Paladins, and like Shion, I think they had it in them to judge people on their own merits. Nice of them. I sure was proud. So then it was settled. I accepted the apology and let the mistakes fall into the past. The borderline between forgivable and unforgivable was always tricky to discern, but we had made up well enough this time. If you can speak the same language as the other side, it's always possible for both of you to accept each other's feelings. Click the button. Don't shake the baby.
Not the gumdrop buttons.
How many pages? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no, just 6. Just the regular 6. Alrighty. Well, looks like you're taking over again, Shem.
I gotta use the bathroom.
I love that. I gotta use the bathroom. Bamps.
Oh, thank God it's not me reading.
But enough of this gloomy stuff. All this food we prepared wouldn't be nearly as good cold, and considering Veldora's lack of a role so far, keeping him waiting any longer would just piss him off and make my life a hassle.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't supposed to require food at all, I didn't think, but from the moment of his resurrection, he had been demanding it for some reason. His love for cakes and such was already common knowledge, but he whined at me a lot about other types of cuisine as well. I knew he was revved up about the feast we had for tonight. Let's get him involved. But before that, a toast. I made one up on the spot to get things started. Well, here's to the battles we've all fought, and all the ones to come. Cheers. A nice cold mug, straight from the hot bath. No better moment in your life. And I was prepared, of course. We had all the treasured liquor my nation had to offer. There would be no holding back, no mistake about it. Wine was a staple drink in Inglacia, I had learned. Beer existed, but just wasn't very good. It lacked carbonation in the aroma from the bubbles. Being served at room temperature did it no favors either. Ugh. Room temp beer is gross. Anyway, my nation had conquered all those problems. Don't let anyone tell you I didn't have a passion for food. After all this research, day and night, our selection of offerings was now far more robust than it was when I first visited the Dwarven Kingdom. Sheesh. It's almost like I say something and they immediately began development on it. Was this because I was a demon lord now? Actually, I guess it was kind of always this way. Well, regardless, my beloved monsters were doing their very best for me, and as a result, my diet was now no different from when I lived in Japan. Food in Tempest is seriously good, trust me. I figured the paladins would be blown away, and I was right. We kicked things off by having a group of women, all well versed in holding banquets like this, pour drinks for everyone. The first mouthful was a surprise to them, I could tell, but the moment they tucked into their food, they paused and looked at the others around them to gauge their responses. The taste must have astonished them. I grinned to myself, relieved. Tempura was the main dish, but we also offered seafood, some freshly prepared sashimi. We had found something close to soybeans, so we even had some ersatz, right? Ersatz soy sauce to go with it. I don't know what that is. Another fruit of Shuna's labor. It wasn't a perfect match flavor-wise.
Ersatz, I believe, is like kind of or mostly.
Kind of or mostly soy sauce? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I never had that before. That's new to me.
Well,
it wasn't a
they
perfect
can't
match.
Perfectly recreated is what he's saying. Ersatz. It's not actually soy sauce.
Oh, okay. So it's not a type of soy
Ersatz.
sauce. It's just something they made. Okay. So it's kind of like impromptu soy sauce.
Okay.
Or something.
How do you spell it?
Ersatz. Ersatz. I'm curious too.
The meaning of ersatz is it's an adjective made or used as a substitute, typically an inferior for something else. So, yeah. So it's kind of
that's a new word to me.
Inferior. I've heard it before. It's just I have a vague idea of what it meant.
Another fruit of Shuna's labor. It wasn't a perfect match flavor-wise, but you wouldn't notice unless you knew the real thing. To someone trying it for the first time, this was what it was supposed to be. Soy sauce came in all kinds of varieties anyway, so maybe there was something like this produced by some local outfit in Japan, for all I knew. Either way, I was more than satisfied. Yeah. Probably. Maybe?
I only know of regular and low sodium soy sauce.
That's all I know too. I mean, there's some like sweet ones, but I didn't know that was like a different type.
This is America.
America, yeah.
We only have two types.
Yeah, that's about right.
And they're basically Kikkoman.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know any other Kikkoman or soy sauce brand.
That's literally what's in my kitchen, Kikkoman.
Mm-hmm. Either way, I was more than satisfied. Preparing sashimi had become a specialty of Hakuro's. He wasn't with us tonight, but a number of chefs had been training under him. The whole process, developing the next generation of kitchen staff, was going pretty well too. You could see them improve as time passed, but as their offerings grew more diverse and mouthwatering by the day. It was an entirely Japanese-style meal, but nearly everyone in the hall seemed to enjoy it. Hinata, in particular, looked like she was having a life-changing moment, putting her inexperienced paladins to shame. That's actually great. I love that. She was all so cold and stuff now, and she's like, oh, this food.
And then it's like, oh shit. Oh shit, it's the taste of home I never thought I would have again.
Listen, she's having an Anton ego moment. Okay? She's just going back and she's having the food.
Alright. Anyway.
It's just a child again. Anyway. Her inexperienced paladins she was putting her inexperienced paladins to shame as she expertly used her chopsticks to eat. Then she turned to me, likely noticing my attention on her. Don't you think this is going too far? Too far how? I wasn't expecting this complaint. It kind of annoyed me, so I fired back. This triggered a rant that must have been building for a long time. We stopped at a tavern on the way here that had ramen and gyoza dumplings. You offer free fresh water on the highway. This is supposed to be a remote forest, and yet you've built these enormous bathhouses. And now this. How did you even find fresh sashimi in the middle of a huge forest? And going out of your way to find these wild plants for tempura? Don't you find that crazy at all? I had definitely broken her cool facade. Man, I wasn't expecting that.
Actually, it's more like, okay, she's normally that temperament and that tone of voice, and she's like, "Don't you find that crazy at all?" It's just like,
Okay, so she's
Food.
like, holy crap! Like,
yeah,
she's
yeah.
like
Food
bewildered.
is her weakness, clearly.
I thought she was like, why? What? Okay, so it's just like, this is supposed to be a remote forest, and yet you've built these enormous bathhouses, and now this.
It's
How
kind
did
of
she even find fresh sashimi in the middle of a huge forest?
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
It's
like,
kind of like, what
holy
the
shit,
fuck
like,
is wrong
wow.
with you?
I mean, it would be kind of like, what? Yeah.
She's
And going out of your way to
literally-
find these wild plants for tempura. Yeah, it's like, it'd be like going to Germany and then they offer like
why?
fresh,
Why did you
like,
do all
Here's the
this?
Here's the
shoots
thing.
right there. It's
She
like,
is literally overwhelmed by this because she never
yeah,
considered.
it's like,
Here's the thing. She never thought she'd get it, so she never considered attempting to make it. Mm-hmm.
that's actually really heartwarming. It's like
Oh,
being
yeah.
away from home for years and then being like, oh, my favorite food.
This is
home.
being away from
Single
home
tear.
for decades and then finally getting it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, oh my god,
All right. Anyway,
that's so good. Anyway, and going out of your way to find these wild plants for tempura. Don't you find that crazy at all? I had definitely broken her cool facade. Man, I wasn't expecting that. Well, I wanted to eat it, so what? I mean, I wanted to eat it, so I tried remaking it for myself. And the sashimi, you know, we're on good terms with the Beast King of Eurazania, and they've got a coastline, so I had some fish brought over. We don't really have the logistics for refrigerated transport yet, though, so that kind of thing's still skill dependent. But what's the harm in splurging a little bit? Skill dependent? I gave her a reassuring nod. The skill in question was gourmet, a unique one possessed by Geld that granted him a stomach to pass items between high orcs. Food couldn't be ferried around with teleportation's magic, but skills didn't have any such restrictions. Of course, we still only brought enough over to cover this banquet. The
keep
high
in
orcs
mind,
were too
guys,
busy with
your stomach is
wait.
right up here. This is the
So,
intestines.
yeah, and the
So
large and
if
small
you
intestines.
pat your belly down here, that ain't your tummy. Your tummy's up here.
Yeah, you're...
So
And no
my
matter
question
what-
here is,
And no matter what bullshit they try and tell you, your intestines are not a fucking mile long.
my question here is though,
But they
does
are
he have to
goddamn
eat
menace.
whatever to give it to the orcs?
No, he can pull things.
Was it?
He has great sage, so he can literally pull from memory.
I just...
No,
Or
no,
Raphael.
was Gorm? This is possessed by Geld.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Well,
it's
it's just-
shared across.
he shares
It's
the
possessed by Geld, but
Yeah.
it's shared amongst all the high orcs.
It's that like super broken spell, remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also,
Or I
keep
guess
in
it's more
mind,
of an
keep in
ability,
mind that
actually.
Rimuru can actually like fucking grab the skills from any of his underlings. So basically, their skills
It's-
are his skills.
Yeah, it's so broken. Anyway, of course, we still only brought enough over to cover this banquet. The high orcs were too busy with construction projects across the forest to handle every passing fancy of mine. A few of them taking some R&R in town had offered their personal support for the project, but my reliance on individual skills for the job was a weak point I intended to address in the future. Hinata listened to my defense, looking a bit exasperated. Right, she sighed, resigned. With a skill, you could transport all that stuff without altering it all. Altering it at all. And you have a lot of people in this nation who can handle the job. I just can't believe you're using all this for yourself, as if it's the most obvious thing in the world. That sounded a bit rude to me, and well, I suppose I had answered Hinata's question, but I didn't really see what's her problem was with that. If something's available to use, why not use it? Well, interrupted Luminous, what is the harm in it, Hinata? No matter the story behind it, there is no doubting how delicious this all is. I, for one, am very impressed.
Thank
She
you.
had a cup in her hand and looked to be well and on her way. What? What's up?
Yeah, there you go. That's it for Luminous wins. Done.
Yep.
Continuing on. Sorry.
Done and done. Yep. All good. She had a cup in her hand and looked to be well on her way, alcohol-wise, as she scarfed down another piece of tempura.
Oh yeah,
She was grabbing
that's
them with her
right.
fingers. She's like,
No, I
Get
forgot.
drunk.
I forgot one of the skills that Luminous is going to teach Rimuru.
oh God.
Oh, yeah.
Like right here?
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah.
She was,
Getting wasted.
we're almost there.
Rimuru can't
She was
get
grabbing
wasted
them with
right
her
now
fingers.
because of poison resistance.
Oh. I forget.
Oh.
Alcohol is a poison, so yeah, that
Technically,
does
yes.
work. That
Here's the
does
funny
work.
thing.
So.
Yeah.
All demon lords have
Mhm.
resist poison.
Oh, no
Yeah.
way.
How the fuck is she getting drunk?
Is that a
She
skill?
must have had Titanic.
Well, it's not
Or
a
the booze is
skill.
just
It's
that
not a
good.
skill in the way that we know it, but her ability to manipulate certain things, it could be considered skillfully done.
I wonder if they can turn that off willingly, so then they could be like, "Yeah, I feel like getting drunk today," and then they turn it off and they can, chug. But anyway,
Well, then
She was-
like, what's the thing? It was like, how do you turn it back? Like, I'm probably a little too drunk. Let me just,
All
and
right.
I'm back to normal.
All right. Anyway,
I don't know.
keep it
Anyway.
on.
Yeah.
She was grabbing them with her fingers, but still somehow managed to look elegant while doing it, which was fine. If you weren't offending anyone, you could eat any way you liked. You can't force chopsticks on someone who has never seen them before. And speaking of which, that was actually kind of a thorny problem. Benny Maru and the other ogres could work with chopsticks just fine, and the monsters of Tempest had largely learned by watching us. That wasn't the case for the merchants and adventurers who came from foreign lands. I was contemplating inviting nobility from across the world to build ourselves into a travel hotspot, so I just wanted to be sure chopstick remained an optional selection for them. Along those lines, Luminous was proving an interesting research subject. You could use a knife and fork, a pair of chopsticks, or your fingers, and while hot food required chopsticks, she otherwise had no qualms about eating it with her hands. Different types of food were eaten in different ways, after all, and there was no reason to put our visitors off by insisting on some foreign way of eating. Maybe it's best to just say, "Hey, we can eat this way too," and then wait as the habit gradually takes hold. "Do you like our offerings?" This is him, sorry. Or the Rimuru.
Yeah.
"Do you like our offerings?" I asked Luminous. "I do, very much. The food is extraordinary, and the drink as well." The observation made me realize that Luminous was downing the alcohol at an alarming speed. Milim was pretty strong, but Luminous was a powerhouse, knocking back any cup offered alongside her tempura. "Glad to hear, but try to go easy, okay? Too much isn't good for you." "Fool. I am impervious to all poisons. Alcohol is no danger to me. In fact, at the moment, I am trying my hardest to lessen the effect of cancel poison so I can get drunk off this." Okay, so I was right.
No,
I was right.
I was gonna say,
You can't.
I was
turn
gonna
it
say,
off.
no,
You
shit.
can't
If
turn
I drink
it off.
enough, I can
Shit.
overpower it.
You can't turn it off, but you.
Sure,
can
I was gonna say,
lower
can
it.
you drink? Can you reread that line and like act as if you're trying to get drunk?
It's like,
Oh.
motherfucker, I'm trying. Like,
Okay, so
Fool.
fool.
no,
I am
no,
impervious.
no.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah, well,
15 minutes. Let's keep moving.
Okay, we got it. All right, got it.
Oh.
I suppose
hear
my
it.
warning was pointless, but weakening cancel poison? You can do something like that? Of course. Stop playing dumb. She must have thought I was kidding, but I insisted she teach me how that worked. ... Oops. Sounds like Raphael's in a huff about something. Ignoring it. Or ignoring it, I followed Luminous's instructions and attempted to shrink down my own resistances. The moment I did, I could feel the intoxication sneaking into my mind. Yes, this is what drunkenness feels like. You couldn't even do that, Rimuru? I mastered that much aeons ago. Veldora seemed proud of himself. I didn't know where he practiced it, but now he was now in a marvelous state of inebriation. Right, I shouted. Another round. Yes, let me join you. Silly boys, Luminous sniffed. But if you two insist, I suppose I will have a refill as well. Now things were heating up. I could almost hear Shuna rolling her eyes as she said, "Oh, Sir Rimuru." But she still grinned and poured out the drink. We were all much less formal now. All the adult beverages we made locally were on offer, along with fresh water and as many ice cubes as you wanted. There was juice and tea available for the non-drinkers too. Haruno was keeping Veldora's cup full, while Louis did the same for Luminous. There was a drinking contest brewing between Benimaru, Shion, and Soe, as well as among the Beastketeers and between Arnaud and his fellow top paladin officers. Those paladins were pretty snooty at first, but once their commanding officer Arnaud began sampling all the wares on hand, they loosened up considerably. Some were now amicably chatting with Riegert and the rest, and a few of them asked the waitstaff for more food. One demonstrated interest in trying some of the food the monsters on hand were enjoying. Fritz was his name, I think, a crusader commander alongside Arnaud and one of the 10 great saints. Nicer guy than I thought at first blush, I guess. Expressing an interest in what other people are eating is the first step towards understanding them. It was a nice sight to see. But that was, I thought for a moment, the drink was starting to make it tough. He's talking about that black rice, isn't he? This black rice was made using a type of plant raised on magical water. the highly magical water found inside the sealed cave. I suggested trying that out as an experiment, and it resulted in a rice that looked like an octopus squirted ink all over it. For someone like me who enjoyed his rice hot, white, and fluffy, it looked absolutely gross, but it tasted really good, or it tasted good. Really good, in fact. It was also packed with nutrients, surprisingly, so we called the crop back Black Spell Rice and moved into full production of it. It was now a staple of Tempestian cuisine, and I was pretty sure there was some kind of issue with it I was forgetting. Whoa! I shouted, alarmed all the way back to sobriety. That stuff's poisonous to humans! Unfortunately, I was too late. Fritz already had some in his mouth, and his first reaction, why, this is restoring my magical force. Do you feel alright? Not sick or anything? A weaker being taking in large quantities of magic could have hazardous health effects. This black spell rice was packed with magicules, which meant it was toxic to those with less than robust constitutions. Of course, it could also be a medicine in the right dosage, and like I said, potentially a dietary staple. Nobody in Tempest would have an issue with it, but I still hadn't tested out what it did to humans. Finding test subjects wasn't exactly easy. Fritz's reaction, however, was unexpected to me. I assume it'd be harmful to Homo sapiens, but maybe it's beneficial to you if you have enough magical force?
Alrighty.
Mm-hmm. Dash grape.
Dash grape.
Good for you.
And Sonic! You literally have a page and a half.
Sonic.
And it starts with
Hold
me.
on. Oh, there we go.
Understood. The subject Fritz's magic power recovery effect has been confirmed. Those with resistance to magicules seem to be able to convert them into energy.
Ah, I see. Maybe eating this now, after exhausting his magic in that huge fight, made it all the more effective. The other paladins, seeing this, immediately clamored for taste of their own. Having a few pints in you could be a dangerous thing sometimes. None were afraid of the side effects, so I agreed. Hinata gave a black spell rice a funny look, likely reacting the same way I did at first.
Palpy from the
Without
valley.
further complaint... Gotta get into the mood here. Yes. Hinata gave the black spell rice a funny look, likely reacting the same way I did at first. But without further complaint, she sipped from the bowl of... I don't know how that word. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Chazake.
Yeah.
Chazake.
It's a real
Consisting
Chaz.
of black...
What a Chaz.
Consisting... Shut up, Chaz!
Chaz it up.
Consisting of the black rice with some tea poured on top of it. I also offered it in some rice ball form for those who wanted something a little heartier. But selections were a huge hit, and a second round was carried out to the party in a very short order. Considering that I busted out our personal stash of white rice for this event, it was funny to see the black spell rice be the toast of the night instead. But hey, if you aren't conditioned to be turned off by the color I like it must have been much more acceptable. Yeah.
All right, you can stop doing the voice now.
Yeah. So now I knew this was new breed of rice could do. So now I knew what this new breed of rice could do. And between that and all other food and drink, I thought we were making a pretty good impression. I was starting to see monsters and paladins chatting with each other, taking advantage of the opportunity presented to them. Shion was even engaging in an impromptu arm wrestling tournament with three of the paladins.
Remember
the
picture you guys were talking about in the beginning with Shion and everything? Yeah, that's what's happening right now.
Oh.
We're literally watching
But her
this.
opponent... But by the look of it, her opponents were all smiles regardless. I like the trend I saw. Alcohol played no small role in it, perhaps. But if this became a natural flow of things, it wouldn't be long before we all were on friendly terms. Good things to eat, enjoyable days to spend, that was my goal. And I wasn't afraid to strive for it. If I had any job here, I suppose, it would be make sure the site doesn't go extinct. It gave me new resolve. Then, what are you doing? What are you doing, Reaper? Drink up, drink up. Let me fill your cup. Yes, yes. You have the Demon Lord Luminous accompanying you. Oh, I'll accompany you. Let us enjoy this evening as much as we can. Whoa, whoa, I said. Chill out, Veldor. Aren't you also a vampire? Luminous? Why are you eating and getting drunk and... Silence, you fool. Once you grow powerful enough, even a vampire can gain sustenance enough from regular food. Now hurry up and empty your mug. That wasn't what I was getting at, but she was in no mood to listen. So there I was, two drunken lots on both sides of me, feeling that newfound resolve disappear from my mind. Guys, hey! Before I could stop them, they were taking shots from the sake we brewed from the black spell rice. Slow it down, you two, I thought as I heard Hinata curtly whisper at them. She had a faint smile. So maybe the booze was giving me audacity, or auditory hallucinations. Auditory hallucinations. She was kind of cute, actually, when she smiled. Not that I was going to tell her.
Alrighty. So, there I was. Barbecue sauce all over my titties. When suddenly the wheel spun on Shim.
Wait. Morning came. God, my head hurt.
Understood. Of course it does. This is the backlash after deliberately weakening your resistances.
Thanks for the feedback, man.
No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
No Sherlock shit.
Raphael said, no shit, man.
No shit, Sherlock man.
Yeah.
All right, anyway.
Raphael sounded a bit peeved, but I was sure I was imagining it.
No,
Nobody's skills get mad at them.
You're not drunk, you're hungover.
Oh, that's right. But I was sure I was imagining it. Nobody's skills get mad at them. I shook the mental cobwebs away. Today we had an important meeting to conduct, one that could decide how Tempest and the Holy Empire Lubelius dealt with each other going forward.
And
I was now seated in our usual
he cured
meeting
the
hall.
hangover, so you're good.
Okay,
Read
so
it
it's good.
normally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was now seated in our usual meeting hall, soldiering through my headache.
Well,
honestly speaking, if things had turned out... What's it? Huh?
Yeah, he still got the headache, but yeah.
Okay, so it's like just this ringing.
Yeah.
Honestly speaking, if things had turned out differently, we might have been fighting both Lubelius and the Western nations affiliated with it. The papacy had given the Temple Knights stationed in Farmus permission to act, and if worse came to worse, the casualties on our side would have been eye-popping. If you thought about it like that, we couldn't afford to be too chill here. On the other hand, though, I was done punishing Farmus. Not a single one of the Temple Knights who conspired against us was breathing today. We had a duty to govern over there, so I wasn't exactly an impartial observer. But Hinata had already apologized to me, and the masterminds who schemed against us were already gone. If we could build friendly relations, we were golden. There wasn't much point asking for reparations. We already had plenty of that from Clayman's and Farmus's coffers, and Farmus was physically far enough away from us that annexing it or making it into some kind of colony was too much of a pain. If the other side had admitted fault, money honestly wasn't as important to me as working to build relations. In time, Luminous and her people entered the hall. Tempest was represented here by me, Shion Rigurd, and Benimaru, along with Rugurd, Raygurd, and Rogurd, the government ministers of justice, legislation, and administration, respectively. Bildor was there too, but safely ignorable. He had some manga to read, and I doubted he'd even bother to pay attention. From Lubelius, meanwhile, we had Luminous, Louis, Hinata, and the 5 top paladin officials. I had them all make their formal introductions. There was Vice Captain Renard, the Noble of Light. There was Arnaud of Air, the strongest of the force after Hinata, and under him was Bacchus of Earth, Lightus of Water, and Fritz of Wind. I had us all seated facing one another, and with that, the proceedings began. I wanted to start with brainstorm session to see what each side's takes were on the situation. Along those lines, I created a list of issues affecting all of us and passed them out to everyone to kick things off. This was just to ensure we were all on the same page. I didn't want to turn this conference into a blame game, so if we disagreed on how we saw matters, I wanted it fixed as soon as possible, and so did Hinata. Our respective stances were about what I figured. Yep, got it.
Moon.
Sorry, I didn't.
Moon, you are the last one to read. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 8.5 pages. So we're definitely
got this,
going
man.
past 10:30. So that's a thing. But you know what? I'm okay with it because that's going to take us all the way to 59. So, number one, 10 away. And number two, I mean, here's the thing. It ends at 78, so that puts us 19 pages from finishing. That's not bad. It just means next week is going to be us going through
Pretty
the
short.
rest of chapter 1. All right, here's the thing. I said I was going to call it at 10:30, but if you guys want to actually see if we can, because we don't have a lot left, but we've read through.
We also have exercises to do as well.
We have 50 pages we've read right now. Well, actually, how I was going to do that is we were going to do one set of the exercises while somebody was reading, just to knock it out. So whatever one it was that we do, like maybe crunches, we just knock out the crunches while one person's reading, and then when that person's turn is done, they do the crunches, and then we do whatever the exercise is afterwards. But that also means I'm pausing the exercises too, which I don't think anybody's got a complaint about. Do you guys want to do it that way or just do it how we normally do?
Sure.
That's fine.
We can do it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we will keep going until 11.
That's kind of what I did last stream anyway.
Trying to finish the stuff. All right. Gotcha. So, Moon, since you're going, what we're going to do is we're going to do the squats because there's only 30 squats. I'm going to start off with the least amount. All right. So, you'll go, and then when it switches up, then you will do 30 squats, and we'll figure out what the next exercise is. Probably like heel touches or... Yeah, probably heel touches because that's 40, and it's pretty easy to get out of the way. All right, Gabe.
All right.
Yeah, we're not... that's great. You can redeem voices all you want. We're just going to ignore them. We're trying to finish the chapter now, guy. Sorry. I know you redeemed Miss Piggy, and I rejected it. So just putting that out there. If you didn't see, your points should have come back to you. I can't pause everything, but assume that it's all paused. All right, Moon, take it away.
Our respective stances were about what I figured. To us, of course, the whole story began with Pharmus' invasion of our land. Our view of this hadn't changed. All we did was respond to moves made by the other side. On the church's end, Hinata told us that problems actually began before Pharmus' request to them. Essentially, acknowledging the existence of a nation of monsters went against the teachings of Luminism, a pressing issue that threatened to cast doubt on the faith of its believers. Leaving this unaddressed could trigger international revolt and weaken the foothold the Western Holy Church had on that region. That's why they had to destroy the monster nation, and that was why they needed a just cause, a good reason to conquer us. That was the situation when we received the request from Archbishop Rahim, who was in Pharmus at the time. Hinata explained. Oh, that was Hinata. Whatever. Cardinal Nicholas gave his approval, and I had no objections to it. And besides, I still wanted to get back at you. She intended, in other words, to take advantage of Pharmus' greed and seize the opportunity to annihilate us and gain revenge. Was that about Shizu? Yes, it was, I suppose. Was that about Shizu? Yes, it was, I suppose. I was just being used, though, looking back. I don't know who's operating behind the scenes, but there are definitely Eastern merchants involved. Merchants? I knew it. Clayman had a merchant or two he was particularly close to as well, given how well-armed Guild and his orcish army was. I assumed they were connected to one nation or another. I guess it was the East then. I nodded, convinced by judging... I have no idea who read that, or who said that.
By who?
I nodded, convinced.
Oh, okay.
It was... I don't know who said it, and it didn't give me a name.
That's
I nodded, convinced, judging by the account books I had Shuna look into. Clayman was dealing in a vast amount of merchandise, mainly goods from the Empire, originally crafted in the Dwarven Kingdom. That wasn't suspicious since the Empire and Kingdom had regular trade with each other. But there were no records at all of the middlemen involved in this. Shuna was thorough in her work, but she couldn't find any of them, even after we asked the assorted officials we took prisoner. Clayman was careful, no doubt drumming it into his force that no evidence should ever be left behind. We found absolutely nothing on the moderate jesters either, the group closely affiliated with him. Still, we could make educated guesses about who was involved. In Clayman's castle, we found a collection of artwork, rare magic items, and other such goods brought in from around the world. The weapons and armor we discovered, however, were chiefly hand-me-downs from the Empire. They had teleportation magic, so they could have procured weapons from anywhere they wanted, but they got almost all of it in from the East. That suggested close connections, and while the evidence was circumstantial, it was still persuasive. That and their food supply. Clayman's bases across the land held enormous stashes of fruit, bread, dairy, and luxury goods like alcohol. Being organic, they couldn't be teleported. Physical transport was a must with them. Clayman's domain, the puppet nation of Distav, apparently used slave labor for most of its agricultural output, but not everything we found in those stores was domestically produced. According to Shuna, some of it had to be imported from beyond their borders. The only real candidate for this was the Eastern Empire, adjacent to Distav. Milim's domain, after all, was self-sufficient to the point that she barely even considered international trade. Hell, she and the ex-demon Lord Carrion didn't even have currency to exchange. So I had my suspicions that Clayman was linked to people from the Eastern Empire. That's right, Hinata said. They told me you killed Shizu and you happened to be stationed in Inglacia. That's why I took the initiative to kill you. Yeah, you couldn't have picked a worse time either. Even now, it still pisses me off when I think about it. Hinata shivered a bit. Arnaud and the other paladins looked similarly cowed. Enough coercion, you upstart brat. I can feel the Lord's ambition coming from you. Whoops, as Luminous just pointed out, a bit of my aura was leaking out. I was pretty good at keeping it perfectly under my control, but I guess it gets kind of loose whenever I'm angry. So, I began after apologizing, it's pretty clear an Eastern merchant or merchants is behind this. Do we know any names? I know one. He called himself Dam, but I'm sure that's an alias. An alias? Probably so, but the name didn't really matter. What did matter was narrowing the culprit down to the Empire's merchant class. So, this merchant was connected to Clayman, and I'm willing to bet he and his people are the guys who set Pharmas's king and Maris on us too. No, there's no doubting that. Rahim made that much clear enough in our questioning. I nodded. Okay, so it's clear Clayman was controlling Pharmas from behind the curtain. Not in a cooperative kind of way either. It seems more coercive to me. And you think the Eastern merchants were his boots on the ground? Benimaru asked. And I suppose I was just another cog in the machine, whispered Hinata. Oh, whatever. I could sense her anger. The question was, who drew up the plans? Well, based on how these merchants were involved with every step of this, I'm sure this was more than just a convenient business relationship. Clayman was trying to ascend to true Demon Lord level. Pharmas was trying to take our land for its own expansionist purposes, and someone we don't know who was engineering it all. Don't know who was engineering it all. Lord, these run-on sentences. Someone, huh? The one Clayman mentioned? I nodded at Luminous. What do you mean? Benimaru and the others already knew about this, but the humans in the room didn't. Realizing this, I gave them a quick recap. Well, it looks like Clayman was doing the bidding of someone else himself. Yes, Luminous added, and he refused to divulge this someone's identity until the very end. Impressive for someone as small-minded as him. Ooh. Could this someone be the 7 days, then? Yeah. The idea came to me suddenly, and when I gave it voice, it felt even more plausible, but Luminous shot me a dirty look. What? Are you accusing the 7 days of taking action unbeknownst to me? She might have wiped them off the planet by her own hand, but I guess she didn't like people second-guessing her staff. That was fair. I was about to apologize when her associate Louis spoke up. I cannot fully deny the possibility, no. Now you're spouting that nonsense, Louis? Her ire had turned on Louis, though he appeared unbothered. Lady Luminous, please, listen to me. The 7 days clergy craved your affection. I'm sure you sense that. How do you mean? I'm talking about the love energy. The energizing kiss you give in a special ceremony. The last time you did that for them, it was over 100 years ago. At one point, it was a weekly rite, but the intervals between them grew longer and longer over time. Did you not notice? Luminous gave Louis an unpleasant look. Uh-huh. Yes, my eternal youth tends to make me forget, but they all were human. Without my energy, they may not die, but they would certainly grow old. Exactly. And that was why they worked so fervently to ensure no other favorites besides them ever appeared. As Louis frankly put it, the 7 days were once a very special presence in Luminous's life. But as humans, they couldn't live forever. This love energy rite must have been how they overcame that. I subsequently imagine that they must have tried to curry favor with you. It wouldn't be strange at all to imagine them working with the Eastern merchants to secretly entice Clayman into action. They weren't about to let Clayman get a leg up on them, especially Grin, the Sunday priest. It was just a passing thought, but it kind of surprised me how well these puzzle pieces fit together. Scary stuff. I'm shocked at the sheer well of knowledge flowing out from me. Oh, so that was all him. How does he even know about the Sunday priest?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
Okay, so that wasn't him.
No, that wasn't him.
Okay. Raphael sounded like it wanted to say something, but I'm sure I was just imagining things. Maybe it was just envious of my genius, or maybe it thought I'd stolen its thunder because I didn't ask any questions of it.
Yeah, Rimuru, shut the fuck up and listen when it's time for... Like, if they're getting exasperated, there's good reason for it, so shut up and listen to your skill.
Do you think, an exasperated Hinata asked, the 7 days thought I was a thorn in their side because of that? Sounds like it. They probably intended to help Clayman ascend, then have you get killed fighting him. They could never have defeated you, after all, so I don't think they had much other choice. It wasn't a totally far-out concept. Step 1, have Clayman defeat Hinata. Step 2, either kill off Clayman somehow, or operate him like a puppet. I couldn't say what they wanted to do with him, but Clayman's faith in them was genuine. If they could get Hinata out of the picture, Clayman would do anything the 7 days wanted. Meanwhile, they'd have Pharmus wipe us out and firm up the foundations Luminism worked with. Naturally, making sure everyone got to share in the resulting profits. A nation as big as Pharmus mobilizing would mean big money for Eastern armor and weapon dealers. Plus, more than anything else, the 7 days would be back on Luminous' good side. I didn't want to jump to conclusions too early, but the possibility of all this seemed worthy of consideration to me.
Jesus Christ. If the puzzle pieces are fitting together too easily, then it's probably not right.
Yeah. So, you think they pitted me against you in hopes I'd be defeated? Or, that was Hinata. Whatever, Hinata asked, interested in Louis' theory. Between that and protecting the tenets of Luminism, I suppose it'd be 2 birds with 1 stone. This gave me another idea. But are we really sure the 7 days were behind that? There's no doubting it. Which one's Renard? He's one of the paladins, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's no doubting it, replied Renard, seated next to Hinata. It was the clergy who introduced us to those merchants in the first place. That certainly cast more suspicion on them. Having such a heroic band make the introduction, nobody would ever doubt their intentions, which would make it easier for the clergy to reach their goals. I'm not sure they'd thought it out all the way like that when I fought Hinata for the first time, but the second, they definitely wanted me to kill her. Those conniving bastards. It scared me a bit, but they were all gone anyway, so it was water under the bridge. But hang on, there were 7 people in the clergy, right? Isn't one of them still left? Hinata seemed pretty at ease as far as the clergy were concerned, but thinking about it, this wasn't over yet at all. Whoever the final survivor was had to be up to their ears in this. It unnerved me, but Hinata just flashed me a cold smile. Nothing to worry about there. Nicholas contacted me from his sanctum to say the final one had also been eradicated. It happened after they discovered that the crystal ball you sent had been tampered with. That was enough evidence to execute him. The thin smile that accompanied her words would be enough to make anyone feel threatened. The sight of this beautiful woman talking about such sinister conspiracies was probably one reason it was easy to get the wrong idea about her. But anyway. Okay, but who was this last guy? I hated to think it, but it wasn't Grin, right? The Sunday priest fabled to be stronger than even Clayman? Because if so, it meant I'd need to keep a careful eye out for this Nicholas guy too. I was told it was Grin, the Sunday priest and chief of the clergy. He almost never took the initiative on anything by himself, so it made so it made sense he was the last one left. Luminous's ears perked up. Oh, old Granville was defeated. Nicholas, that cardinal was infatuated with you, wasn't he? How did he do it? It wasn't the most heroic approach, Louis replied, but he had a disintegration spell set up in advance, and it was enough of a surprise move to do to him. To do him in. Granville must have aged terribly if he fell for a trap like that. She sounded sad about it, but my mind was on other matters. Unfortunately, it seemed that I would need to add a new entry to my mental list of people to watch out for. It might have been a surprise move, but I couldn't let my guard down. Disintegration was lethal against most people. Cardinal Nicholas, let's remember that name. By the way, Lady Luminous, by Granville, do you mean Grin? Hinata had a thoughtful expression. The name Granville must have rung a bell. That I do, Luminous replied. His real name is Granville. He was known as the hero of light in his glory days. He even fought me once. For a god, Luminous acted so oddly innocent at times. I might have been imagining it, but sometimes it felt like she was trying to act all high and mighty and not quite succeeding all the time. Was all this, an act? Then I felt it. Her eyes dead upon me. Yep, I was just imagining things. So much for that suspicion. Did he... I'm sure it couldn't be, but Hinata seemed to have an idea in mind. Was that Hinata?
Mm-hmm.
Oh well. But she must not have been fully sure about it, because she went no further. He was pretty strong in the past, she instead recalled. Up to my level, in fact. You could say that, answered Luminous. Anyone who calls themselves a hero usually finds themselves bound by fate soon enough. Perhaps he resented me somewhere deep in his heart. Perhaps indeed. Just like Milam told me, heroes and demon lords often intertwined. Granville was defeated by the demon lord Luminous, opting to swear his allegiance to her instead. Deep down, though, he might have had mixed feelings about her. Feelings he couldn't escape from, even after becoming a living legend who brought many champions in their own right into the world. But at this point, it was all just guesswork. Well, I said, that's a relief at least. It means that everyone who picked a fight with us, Clayman, Farmus, the 7 Days Clergy, they've all met their end. Benny Morrow and my other officials nodded their agreement. All's well that ends well. All's well that ends well, Riegert eagerly commented with a smile. You said it, I replied, returning the smile as I felt the tension escape the hall. We had to deal with a lot of dangerous foes, but at this point, most of the problems are safely behind us. But I sure don't want anyone controlling me behind the scenes. If we hadn't noticed these merchants scheming in the shadows, I honestly would have started to suspect Yuki. Yuki was pretty suspicious. When it came to humans in Iglesia with deep ties to Hinata, Yuki was the prime candidate. I felt bad about it, but I couldn't take him off the list. Renard asked. Yuki Kagurazaka, the guildmaster? Yeah, I answered with a nod. Thinking about it impartially, it made sense. He was the prime suspect at the time, but Yuki had no reason to have Hinata and me fight each other. If there was no motive, it was pretty hard to picture him as the culprit.
Maybe you just don't understand his motive.
He really doesn't. ... On the other hand, maybe someone was definitely scheming to frame Yuki. The Eastern merchants could pull that off well enough, I thought. They'd proven more than capable of carrying out multiple operations remotely at the same time. If the clergy were the main bad guys, the merchants would have a motive to take the heat off them a little. It made sense. But Yuki, a suspect, can't say that's out of the question, no. Right. When I had convinced myself, Hinata threw me with that observation.
It's not a pause after right.
Right when I had convinced myself, Hinata threw me with that observation. Whoa, you're doubting someone from our own homeland? I'm only considering every possibility. For the matter, it may be a bit early to assume... For that matter, it may be a bit early to assume the real mastermind is gone. The moderate jester that killed Roy is still on the loose, and those Eastern merchants still have deep roots all over the Western nations. It felt like she was splashing cold water on me. She was right. It was too early to breathe easy. I braced myself anew. Yeah, I guess you're right. It's not over yet. We can't afford to be too optimistic. No, we can't. We'd better inform everyone about this. Nope, that's Benimaru. Benimaru nodded, while the paladins facing him looked similarly convinced. As Hinata said, I continued, it's very likely that the person or persons behind all this is still around. I know I said the clergy might be the main bad guys, but that was just a passing idea more than anything. It's no good to throw blame around without any conclusive evidence. Let's keep a close eye on this as we go forward. Everyone murmured their agreement at this conclusion. No, it was a bad idea to cast judgment without merit. I was fairly confident in my supposition, but Raphael didn't offer its agreement. It didn't disagree either, though, so I think the possibility was there. I just didn't have the evidence to be sure. For now, I'd have to trust in Raphael, and with the paladins happy with this conclusion, I thought it best to leave it at that.
Alrighty, now you're gonna do your 30 squats, while the others do their 40 heel touches, and you're also gonna do 40 heel touches. I'm the one that's gonna have to do 40 heel touches and whatever the next exercise is, because I have to read. All right, you two, get to your 40 heel touches.
On it.
Okay, you're frozen again on my screen there, Sonic.
Well,
okay.
whatever. You at least you still see me in this instance.
That wrapped up our recap of past events. We knew we had to investigate the possibility of another mastermind out there, but that could wait for later. Today, we were here to figure out how we needed to work together to bury the hatchet for good. It was at this moment that Shuna brought in coffee and snacks for us. It seemed that scones and french fries were on today's menu. I had to hand it to her. She demonstrated impeccable timing. I immediately tackled my plate as the paladin sat there figuring out what to do. Ooh, snacks! I'll take a double portion. And of course, Veldora chose this moment to finally delve into the conversation. Very well, replied Shuna, well used to this act. This is good. Hinata was sampling her plate as well, which was enough to set the paladins to action. After our previous talk, we all needed to kick back and relax a bit like this. A few minutes later, I suddenly spoke up. All right, so about our future relations. Before that, Hinata interrupted. I want to make one thing very clear to all of us. Should I assume you've accepted our apology for all these events? Sure. I want us to become friends as nations going forward. I don't intend to drag that problem along any further. This wasn't my sole decision. I came to it after discussing matters with Benimaru and my other officials. There was no need to fight any longer, and all our misunderstandings were now worked out, so I felt it was time to make a deal. But Luminous wasn't convinced. Absolutely not. I hate owing anything to anyone. This entire incident was clearly our fault, and I wish to compensate for it in some way. We can strike a deal after that is done. She gave Veldora a hateful glare. Basically, I suppose she didn't want Veldora to feel like he could ask her for something later. Yes, replied Hinata, and if that is Lady Luminous's will, then I must say that it troubles me to put you through such pain and not make up for it. I want to show you as much as possible that I am being sincere. Okay, sure, that's great, but what kind of compensation are we talking about? Because if Luminous, well, Lubelius, as a nation, really, if they were willing to acknowledge us as a nation, then I was good to go. Combine that with an oath of non-hostility, and what more could I ask for? Well, how about you formally recognize our nation and we open up diplomatic relations? Luminous casually nodded. Fair enough. Although, I won't expect us to be fast friends, and I will need to settle the score with that lizard sooner or later. Pretty much all of Luminous's smoldering anger was pointed right at Veldora. If it really, really came to it, I was willing to offer him as a sacrifice. If that was what if that was enough to usher in a century-long era of peace. It was a dead simple decision to make. Wait a moment, Rimuru, I heard the dragon ask. I hope you are not picturing anything cruel for me. Just your imagination, Veldora. As long as you act smart and mature, there's nothing to worry about. No, I know what you're thinking when you talk down to me like that. It usually means you're up to no good. He's getting sharp, but not as sharp as me. Now, here, I'll give you my scone, so play nice with Luminous, all right? What? Well, in that case, I will do my level best. Although, if I ever truly willed it, it'd be child's play to make Luminous recognize my vast strength. You see, dealing with him is so simple. Luminous audibly sighed, but it looked like she would remain true to her word. Don't get cocky with me, you. For now, though, let us call a truce. I will open international relations with you for a period of 100 years. I think that would serve amply well as an apology. Well, that came more easily than expected. Like, really? We're good? Benimaru, Rigurd, and the rest of my team looked just as shocked, to say nothing of Hinata. I doubt anyone expected this. So, ventured Hinata, you're willing to open diplomacy with Tempest, if not necessarily go all the way with a non-intervention treaty? Quit pestering me about this. I've said what I meant. With that, she reached for a second scone, content to let someone else work out the details. I suppose, Louis said, dryly stated, we will have to carry out her will. Diplomatic relations? Are you sure? Renard, however, seemed unconvinced. He appeared ready to bring up an issue, but not quite sure if he should go through with it. He gave Hinata a quick glance, received a nod, and returned. What's the issue? Chimed in Fritz. If Sir Rimuru and his nation were truly evil, we would have been wiped off the map long ago. True, Arnaud said. I could trust in Sir Rimuru, yes. We need to cast off our prejudices against monsters. I agree with them, added Letus. Sir Soe was such a gentleman to us. Oh, Soe woman charmer. Look at you. All right, anyway. Mm-hmm. Even the notable taciturn Bacchus was nodding. Renard, hearing them all, hesitated for a moment. As vice captain of the Crusaders, he couldn't give his ready agreement just yet. If anything, this choir of support only firmed his resolve. Yes, but there remains one problem. How will we explain this in the framework of our faith's teachings? Because, depending on our approach, the Western Holy Church may face an onslaught of criticism, and I can't allow that to happen. Their faith, a faith that refused to accept the existence of monsters. Yeah, if they accept me now, it'd be like, hey, what about all the teachings from the past X number of centuries? I thought we were close to solving our problems, but I suppose it never comes that... I thought we were close to solving all our problems, but I suppose it never comes that easy. But, as I worried over this, Luminous dropped another bombshell. Don't be silly. Those teachings are nothing I established. I don't see why failing to protect them qualifies as betraying me. Those are meant to be guiding principles for those lost in their lives. Really, they're only a bunch of rules thought up by the leaders at the time. This came as a shock to all the paladins in the room, Hinata included. What? She shouted. I've never heard that before. Ah, yes, Louis blandly replied. I suppose you might not have. The original texts defining the faith are open to anyone who might want to browse, but the first written drafts they're based on have been lost long ago. If you read through those, then you'll see how those tenets were crafted. As he put it, the doctrines of Luminism were put in place to protect those who worship Luminous. She, Louis, and the other high-level vampires were one thing, but the lower ones lived off human blood, and the blood of those who lived happy, contented lives was apparently more attractive to them. In the bad old days, when monsters ran roughshod over the world, the human race had its hands full just surviving, which meant the poor quality of their blood created its fair share of problems among the vampire community. In response, Luminous took advantage of a move she had planned to switch gears and offer her protective hand to the humans. This move was caused by Veldora, apparently, but I opted against asking for details. It'd just be stirring up a hornet's nest. Protecting the defenseless allows them to lead happy lives. By spicing up their lives with some fearsome demon lords, followed by the relief of being protected from them, we ensure they can savor as much happiness as possible. The citizens of Lubelius are kept safe under the name of their god. Humans, to put it in a rough way, were kind of like livestock to them. Vampires lived off their blood, but as it was described to me, they needed rather small quantities, enough that the human victim wouldn't even notice. There were far more humans than vampires out there, so it made sense. A little blood donation now and then ensured a life free of existential threats. A real win-win situation. So, did they write the holy scriptures of Luminism to help keep needless slaughter by the monsters at a minimum? That's right, Louis said to Hinata. Precisely. To me, the most important thing is the faith itself, added Luminous. All of you here, you can cast your holy magic thanks to the faith you have in me, correct? That is how the arrangement works. It is an absolute law. It is my family's duty to protect my people, and to me, the rest matters little. So, to sum it up, the faith's refusal to accept monsters stemmed from a need to grab the hearts of the people and bring them into the faith. No, maybe that tenet doesn't need to be so strictly enforced. Bending too much along those lines would cause chaos in the Western Holy Church, but there was no need to go that far. Basically, the way I was reading this, if the people here could find a reason to accept us, the rest of the kingdom would fall in line. It sounded like we had an agreement. Then, but Renard's frown said he still wasn't convinced. I understand, then, that our doctrine is not based on the will of our god, Lady Luminous. But, practically speaking, that is the exact doctrine all of us have spent our lives following. I fear that simply doing away with it would create issues. You had a point. Completely ignoring everything built up to now would lead to a huge backlash from the faithful, not to mention the current church organization. Even if Luminous herself came out in public to appeal to the masses, there was no saying if anyone would believe it was her. And there was no way Luminous would do anything that proactive. Anyway, there was every chance of rifts forming between the paladins assembled here and the more hardcore factions of the church. But we have to do it, Hinata solemnly said to the troubled-looking Renard. I was hoping we could keep silent on this until things settled down, but we have a force of 100 paladins here, and I'm sure the other nations are aware of us. Plus, these journalists were there to see a battle sage be defeated, weren't they? Her gaze went from Renard to me. She was right. Diablo said he had defeated a man named Sare, one of the 3 battle sages. Another one was on the scene, but apparently fled in rapid order. If the press saw all that, it would ruin this force's reputation as protector of humanity. If rumors started spreading that the paladins were defeated, it could lead to all kinds of needless confusion. Diablo said it was possible to coerce the media if need be, but what a pain. Okay, well, how about we just say Hinata and I dueled to a draw, then we signed a truce after discovering the 7 days clergy scheme. People already know I'm a slime for the most part, but if we spread the word that I'm an otherworlder, you think that would be a bit more convincing? I do appreciate that proposal, Hinata said, but are you fine with that? Wouldn't a demon lord fighting me to a draw affect your reputation? My reputation? Do I have much of one, really? I feel like I've done nothing but get yelled at by Shuna lately. Whenever problems come up, I toss them right into Rigurd's lap. For the most part, my main responsibility in town lately has been joining Gopta on his assorted jaunts. I didn't think a draw or two is going to trash my rep that much. I don't see the problem. I mean, hell, you can say I lost for all I care. Who won and who lost didn't really matter, I thought. But everyone on Hinata's side stared at me in shock. Look, in all of history, there's only been a tiny handful of times when a human defeated a demon lord, you know? If you just say, oops, I lost, like that, that really will wreck the balance of power around here. It'd create trouble for you. She's right, bellowed Renard. "You are still just a fledgling demon lord. Let another force push you around right now, and that could invite interlopers aiming for your head. I suppose they are worrying for my sake, but I don't know. Benimaru, can you think of any rival forces who might try to interfere with us at this point?" "None, sir. If anyone was foolish enough to try, I would twist their heads off with my bare hands." "Glad to hear it. Diablo seemed to be doing well over in the Western nations, rescuing the journalists' lives. Let him proceed with his plan, even if it had involved a bit of extra force. It wouldn't be long," he said, "before reports would go around about Yom being crowned the new king, and the smaller nations surrounding Farmus would pitch in to support this. Assuming all went to plan, the only individual nation who could possibly try to tangle with us was Inglacia. With Luminous giving us 100-year truce, the Western nations were as good as ours, really. The same was true of the Demon Lords. Me killing Clayman was one stellar performance. If we spread rumors that I lost despite looking perfectly healthy to everyone, I'm not sure people would believe them. If anything, they might grow more careful dealing with me, fearing a trap or something." "You sound pretty confident," Hinata said. "Well, in that case, I don't have any objection. If anything, I'll be glad to take advantage of it." "Yeah, let's take this opportunity to announce to the world that the Tempestians aren't evil at all." "Very true. Everyone here is so nice to us. It's hard to believe they were all goblins and orcs not long ago." There had been some internal debate over whether demi-humans counted as monsters or not, but nowadays I think that's far too narrow a view to take. It's just prejudice talking. "You said it. Demi-humans are a formidable foe against humans, but dwarves, at least, are certainly human. If we started calling them monsters, then it'd be impossible to tell spirits apart from monsters either. Ogres and lizardmen had normally been treated as demi-humans up to now too, but thanks to their hostility against humankind, they had been branded as monsters. Oni and Dragonoots, the next evolution up from each respective race, were treated not as monsters, but as local gods. All that really mattered in the end was whether you were a friend or foe to humankind, and that meant it was hard to interpret Luminous doctrine as a carte blanche condemnation of all monsters. "Well," I said, "we have formal relations with the Dwarven Kingdom. Why don't we mix King Gazel into this and sign a 100-year friendship treaty? We can get him to guarantee that we won't attack people. That ought to change a few minds, right?" Hinata thoughtfully nodded, reaching her own conclusions in her mind. "Yes. If we could just build a little trust, that would make it easier to convince people. Plus, with things as they are, it's probably about time to purge all the people who were poisoned by the clergy. The Western Holy Church was hardly a monolith. No large organization is. And with Hinata putting it in such cold, blunt terms, all opposition was silenced. I guess she wants to use this chance to lay all the guilt on the 7 Days clergy. Kind of dirty, I thought. But that was a Libelius issue. Certainly nothing I had a right to comment on. We then began to work out some of the smaller details. All right, spin that wheel. Jesus Christ, it already has gone past 11.
Yep.
We're at 67, so there's like 10 pages left. It's me again. It's fucking me again. Thank God it's just a small patch.
Okay.
For our future interactions, it was agreed that Arnaud and Bacchus would stay here in Tempest. They'd go back home to prepare first, then return with a few civil bureaucrats in tow. I was planning to build a luminous church in town in the meantime for their use, and I didn't see it taking any longer than a couple of weeks. Maybe we'd start to see some luminists around here once we were done. I was honestly a little anxious about allowing full freedom of religion, but I'm sure we'd figure it out. Monsters, frankly, were atheists. There was no such thing as a single god that was widely recognized by everyone across the world. My conventional wisdom from my own planet didn't apply, really. There was religion, yes, but it was usually more like paying your respects to the local deity than anything very fervent. And these deities could quite literally help you out if you prayed to them, because, they were right there. The Dragon Faithful's relationship with Milim is a prime example. Along those lines, Luminism was really nothing more than the biggest player in an extremely crowded arena full of religions like that. The Crusaders served as Luminous' servants, protecting the weak and earning new adherents to the faith. So if you look at it that way, I could see a church in Tempest as a kind of center for Western Holy Church-style support of the vulnerable. You gotta help out your neighbor and all that, although I doubt they could offer much help to us. It'd at least mean we could fight alongside paladins if some kind of threat appeared. There was no reason not to take this opportunity. We'd keep close tabs on the local church, of course, but I figured we could grant them a certain amount of freedom. That was the common ground we found. Spin the wheel again. Spin the wheel again. Boing. Come on, Shim. Come on, Shim.
Show me, Shim.
Fiddlesticks.
Mm.
Okay.
I like that champion.
Fiddlesticks?
Yeah, I think he's cool.
Okay, Sonic, it's your turn. Let's see.
Okay,
the
step
rest
away
of
for a
us.
moment. So where are we at? That was the end of us? The end of...
Yeah, that was the end of the tough stuff.
Yeah, that tough stuff.
By the time we get done, I've got heal touches.
Fix my camera
Everybody else has... Yeah, fix your camera because it's on you. All right, so I've got heal touches.
Come on.
And the rest of you have... Okay, so everybody at this point in time has done the squats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So completed all
And
that.
touches.
Camera.
I've got heal
Please,
touches.
work with me.
And you guys have... You want to do push-ups or crunches?
I can do
way,
either.
It's 50.
Are they the same amount?
Yeah.
That was the same
Okay,
amount.
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do push-ups.
All right, let's do push-ups then. So I got heal touches and then push-ups. You'll have push-ups when it's the next person's turn to read.
Got it.
Okay.
That was the end of the tough stuff. We had to deal with Luminous, more or less, and we had managed to get Lubelius to recognize us as a legitimate nation. That was more than enough compensation. Now, if we could just keep interacting and getting along, it'd be perfect. I like to use our century-long time limit to build a deeper understanding of each other, and that meant we'd be interacting regularly with the Crusaders. The first effort along those lines involved providing skills and tech to each other. The battle earlier had smashed up a lot of the Paladins' weapons, so they needed something to repair them. We offered our skills in response, but that was kind of a front. What we really wanted to do was see what their weapons were capable of. This allowed us to access one of those strange light-based suits of armor I saw. As Raphael put it, it provided the wielders magical force to a spiritual life form, letting them manifest into a physical object. The one gifted to us had been overused and broken, so we traded it for a new Garm provided armor set. The Paladins, still feeling a bit indebted to us, gladly let us have it as a part of their general apology. And while I was expecting Hinata to whine about it, she was actually fine. I decided to recuperate by giving her a sword I had made. The sword Hinata used is called Moonlight. Luminous gave it to her herself, and it housed untold amount of power. Too much, really. Asked her, and she called it a legend-class weapon, beyond even the unique level that I thought was the highest. Kaijin and Kubro taught me that Magisteel can evolve over many years, allowing well-worn, first-class weapons and armor to continue honing and polishing themselves. This evolution provide a massive boost out of thin air, something proven by the way ancient weapons found in ruins sometimes boasted out-of-this-world abilities that modern technology couldn't replicate. This was the so-called Legend class, and apparently they were usually kept away from general access. It was Kuburo and Garm's goal to craft equipment along these lines. They stared at Hinata's Moonlight, transfixed by it. I hope they were up to the task. The thing about a sword this all-powerful is that you really only use it when you absolutely need it. If you decided to whip it out on the street in the afternoon, you could rouse the entire city block to rubble before you realized what had happened.
You finally found it.
It'd be like carrying a machine gun instead of a pistol for self-defense. Just not the kind of thing you'd be branding around every day. It was the equivalent of a pistol, I thought, about gifting her, and she liked it much more than I anticipated. It was a new version of the broken rapier I had consumed earlier, analyzed and improved for her. It was in the unique class feature-wise, and I'm sure she felt the same way. It felt the same way in her hand. I even recreated the unique ability it had to always kill its target on the 7th attack. This gave me a broken longsword. The Dragon Buster is what it was called. They called it, and it was even more feeble than I thought. And I wasn't really sure you could slay someone like Veldora with it. I also inquired about her Holy Spirit armor, but she sadly replied that she couldn't show that to me. It was an original, one-of-a-kind piece made just for Hinata, and I really wanted to analyze it. But perfect. You're right in time, Raphael.
Oh, okay.
I need a report.
Report. Resetting cancel ailments. This resistance cannot be adjusted. Wait, what? Is that the...
No, wrong one. No. It has always been... It has been already been analyzed.
Oh, report.
Yeah, I can't...
It
I
has
don't know
already
the
been
page.
analyzed and assessed from the information gathered during battle.
What? Man, does anything ever get by Raphael? Should I start calling it Professor or what? Oops. Got on its bad side again. Better just give it my thanks and move on. I really had no idea, though. This is a huge feat. I can't get enough of that guy. According to it, we could take the assessment from some inferior spirit armor, then combine it with Hinata's battle data to recreate Holy Spirit armor. This belonged to the holy element, but you could also tinker with the fundamentals of it to turn it into a demonic piece. Sorry, Hinata, I guess this Holy Spirit armor is a national secret, but a quick bit of analysis and assets and it's mine.
Assess.
I wouldn't need to think about... Oh, assess, sorry.
Analyze and assess.
But a quick bit of analyze and access and it's mine. I would need to think about who to grant it, though.
Assess, not access. You said access.
Did I say it again?
You said access.
Mm-hmm. Assess.
Yeah, assess.
Analyze and I hear myself saying it too. Analyze and assess. Yeah, and it's the pairing. My tongue gets all twisted. But I would need to think about who to grant it to, though. It seemed kind of difficult to use. Now, though, our battle gear would be more polished than ever before.
All right. Did he just get back? Perfect.
Spin to win.
Moon.
Oh.
Moon, it is your turn to read.
Perfect. Woo.
Yeah.
Have fun.
So you've got
crunches, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, literally you're reading for the rest of this, Moon.
All right,
rest of the chapter. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and knock out the crunches and the planks.
What was the last thing said?
You're on
4.
Between this, that, and the other thing.
I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready.
Go for it.
Whew.
Okay.
Between this, that, and the other thing, we were now even with each other. It was evening, and with the day's work behind us, I figured the paladins would hit the trail soon. But I thought I'd at least be polite and offer them one more meal. Hey, it's getting late, Hinata, so why don't you and Luminous save your departure for tomorrow? It was kind of silly. Luminous could go home with spatial motion anytime she liked, and I'm sure Hinata had a warp portal set up somewhere in Lubelius. The same was true of all the paladins, each one an A-grade fighter. I'm a little winded, y'all have to give me a second. Okay. I'm sure the journey home was no great effort to them. I imagine they'd just say, sorry, but our work's done here, nice knowing you, and be on their way. Sorry, but, yep, there it is. If you insist on it, or if you insist on it, would you be willing to host us this evening? Ah, yes, I did like that. Yes, I did like that hot spring of yours. And the food was simply excellent. What fun will we have tonight? Huh? I suppose neither Hinata nor Luminous was in any hurry to go anywhere. The paladins saw this, of course, and now they'd all need quarters for another night, too. They were all smiles now, chatting over what could be on the menu tonight. I wanted to ask if the Crusaders were really a bunch of freeloaders like this all along, but it was too late to whine about it. If they expect that much from us, let's give them the time of their lives. Okay, today's banquet will feature sukiyaki, a big bowl of beef simmered in vegetable broth. Yeah! Oh, that's okay. I wasn't sure what this feeling in me was. The paladins and my staff, mortal enemies until the previous day, were now salivating over the hearty meal they would share shortly. They were happy, no doubt about that. But part of me wondered if this was really the right thing for them. I guess there were no rules about religious figures giving up meat or whatever in this world. It was hard enough to keep yourself fed at times without inventing restrictions for yourself. So we decided to treat them to the cow deer and chiducken we had started to raise, pairing their meat with some fresh-picked veggies, tossing all that into a pot of boiling broth would be perfect. And Shuna knew exactly how to pull it off. First, she used chiducken bones to make a soup stock, using the meat on them for sashimi purposes. Then, for the main course, she butchered up some marbled cow deer, making for some downright decadent hot pot. After that, all she had to do was remove the poison from the chiducken eggs and pass them around to everyone. There was no way this wouldn't taste awesome. Okay, here's to our future friendship. Cheers! Cheers! Jesus Christ. We also had more fresh cooked rice, the big hit of the previous day's feast. Ignore the black color, of course. My beloved white rice would just go to waste on these guys. Hinata was staring longingly at my personal rice bowl last night, though, so I gave her a serving. From one other worlder to another. When it comes to rice, plain white is where it's at. Although I'm no stranger to assorted seasonings, too. I was also getting some rice in from Bloomin' that I had them test out for me. But it still needed some improvement. It was a wholly different beast from the white rice before me. White rice, though. Don't you find this almost selfish in a way? I wasn't sure what Hinata was complaining about. Her voice was even shaking a little. What, was she jealous? Well, if you don't like it, I'll be glad to take it away. I'm not talking about that. She snapped back, protecting her bowl with her life. Jeez, don't get too worked up about this crap. Not that I'd say that to her. I just mean being able to so perfectly recreate food from that other world. It's more exasperating than surprising in a way.
I feel like it was more like, I'm not talking about that. Just taking her bowl.
No, I'm not giving you my food.
Probably. I'm not talking about that.
How dare you? Fuck off, my bowl.
Dare.
Fuck off.
No,
it's mine. Mine.
Yeah. That's not what I'm talking about.
It just feels like Yoda. Mine. Or I will help you.
Shut up.
I don't know.
Hey. I can't believe you've created such a life of luxury for yourself in the space of just 2 years. Just casually achieving all these things none of us ever would have hoped to manage. Hey, praise me all you want. I'm here all night. Don't be stupid. I mean, I heard stories about you from Yuki, but I took them all with a grain of salt. He was just relaying the reports he heard from his spies after all, but this... She shrugged. I don't think I'd ever believe it if I wasn't seeing it with my own eyes. Alliteration is a bitch. God,
I wanna add in there as well. It's like she's praising him as like, look, praise me all you want. I'm not giving you a third bowl. I'm not giving you mine either.
I wasn't sure how to respond.
You don't get thirds.
I was nowhere near the finish line. Well, I'm far from done yet. Transport's still super slow, and it takes forever to transmit information from one place to the other. With magic, though, it was straightforward enough to improve our food and living conditions, more or less. More or less? That's how you describe recreating all this delicious food. You realize it makes you sound like you're ridiculing all our hard work and sweat up to now. I managed to set her off again, but really, if I was satisfied with this, then I'd never develop things any further. I'm a king, pretty much. And a king needs to be at least a little greedy. Not king so much as demon lord, but same difference. Well, I mean, we're pretty good in the forest food-wise, you know? The real issue is the culture. There's just way too little entertainment. I want to build the foundation for things like, you know, manga, like what Veldor's reading. Entertainment? Do you realize how harsh a world this is? A world where the majority of people have to fight tooth and nail to see another day. Yeah, I know. And that's why we're gonna make sure monsters and things are no longer a threat. I mean, I'm just gonna come out and say this, because there's no point hiding it, but we're trying to install Yom as king. Build a new kingdom from his domain, and use that to draw the Western nations into our sphere of influence. Just what exactly are you planning? I'd like to know more details. Does she? Well, let's tell her. I'm thinking about a lot, actually. For starters, I pecked at the hot pot as I explained my vision of the future to her. Ugh.
Okay,
Fuck sentences.
stop. You're going to do your exercises now. And while you do that, I'm going to finish up. I can't drag out the end of this while we're waiting on you to do exercises. So
I got you.
Got
That's
50
fair.
crunches and 40 seconds of planks.
Have fun.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one you do first. They're gonna hurt equally.
I know. I did a whole minute of planks earlier. I don't even know why I did that.
Oh,
I'll be doing with them with you. I forgot.
Oh man, you think the crunches were bad before Shim? I did my 40 seconds first. Fuck that.
Okay,
Good.
crunches
All right,
first. Got it.
Where were we?
I pecked at the hot pot as I explained my vision of the future.
There.
Okay. Our current project.
Was that a little louder? I noticed I came in at the end. Sorry.
Our current project involved getting the human world to recognize us. And this was already halfway done, with the leaders of many nations aware of who I was. I'd received reports of apparent spies going in and out of Tempest, so I'd taken a few measures to show them how harmless we were. The merchants and adventurers were spreading rumors of their own, and before long, even the common people would know we could coexist with them. It'd take time for that to really take root, yes, but we were on the path. No need to hurry it along. After that came our road infrastructure. This was also well underway, as we had worked to build safe, efficient travel routes between our territory. Highways to Bloomend and the Dwarven Kingdom were now open, and plans were in progress for a new road linking us to the Sorcerer's dynasty of Thalion. There were no paved roads to Urizania at the moment, so I thought we could tackle that afterwards. Running in parallel with all this was experimentation with communication methods. I didn't know how radios and stuff worked, so I had to give up on that. Raphael could tell me if I asked, but I didn't have the brain power to help everyone else understand it. Kaijin and the three Dwarven brothers might, maybe, but I didn't want to rely on them for everything. Thus, I decided to leave that issue to the next generation and build schools to provide education for our children. These were simple one-room affairs for now, but I was having them learn basic reading and writing and arithmetic. Before long, I intended to bring in some humans to provide more in-depth instruction. But getting back on the subject, the communication crystals that served the world now could only be used by the magically inclined. They were magical items themselves, which meant they were vulnerable to theft. That was hardly a theoretical problem, and more to the point, if you needed to send out an emergency message, you'd never know if a wizard was nearby to help. We needed a system that anyone could use and where theft wasn't an issue. It seemed beyond all probability, but it was actually pretty within my reach. My idea involved the sticky steel thread and magisteel. I tried the first one out with Soe, but my transmission skills over the thread were honestly pretty astounding. Since it worked with magicules, you could get your voice and thoughts across with remarkable clarity. Magisteel was packed with those same magicules as well, so I thought it could work largely the same way, and after some experimentation, it did. What we could do is work magisteel into wires about a half-inch thick, run them through the dimension used by shadow motion, and connect the world's cities together with it. That alone wouldn't accomplish anything, but attaching this network to the device Vester and his team were developing could convert waves of passing thought into real-life sights and sounds. This device required no magical force to use, so I wanted to get it running as soon as it was complete. In the meantime, we needed to gather the requisite amount of magisteel and get ready. With the amount of monsters we had in this town, regular iron ore kept in storage would transform into magic ore. This would then be processed into magisteel wire, with shadow motion practitioners doing the wiring work. Nothing would really serve as physical obstacles to this network, so installation really wouldn't be that terribly difficult. Once we really had the ball rolling, I also had plans to expand the network from the cities to the smaller villages. Now all we had to do was develop the necessary receivers. Really, as someone who had lived in a data-driven society, communication speed was seriously important to me. What do you think? That'll be super useful when it's done, won't it? I couldn't help but sound a little full of myself in front of Hinata. Once this network was complete, it was time to start transmitting. It was time to start transmitting entertainment and nurturing a nascent culture. There were so many dreams I had and a mountain of things left to do, and if I wanted to get any of it done, I had to provide safe and comfortable lives for my own people. Somewhere along the line, the meeting hall had grown quiet. The paladins were frozen in place, perhaps enraptured by my speech. My own officials, meanwhile, were practically smoldering with anticipation. Listening to me inspired them more than ever before. Then Hinata rolled her eyes. "Look," she murmured, "that kind of information is normally kept confidential by governments. Did you know that? I mean, matters related to communications in particular. You just don't go telling that to outsiders. Not that I'm complaining, but if you phrased it like that, then okay, maybe that was a mistake. Maybe I got carried away and said a little too much. Must have been the alcohol talking. But even considering the possibility was a mistake, the moment I thought, uh-oh, did I screw up? Raphael jumped to conclusions. Report, resetting cancel alignments. This resistance cannot be adjusted for the time being. What? Oh, ailments, sorry. Resetting cancel ailments. What? But it was already too late. Even worse, a reset wasn't something you could do all the time. Whether I wanted it or not, the poison was being cleansed from my body. But booze isn't poison, I thought, to no avail. My skills were just merciless. Of course, I suppose this happened because I still had a pounding headache from getting wildly drunk the day before. I cut a little too loose for my own good, and that was the cause of it. Maybe I'd be more tight-lipped toward Hinata if I wasn't inebriated. Let's just call it my just desserts and move on. I glanced at Hinata just in time to see the jolly man next to her, Fritz, was it? Steal a piece of top-grade beef from her plate. Looks like I'm not the only guy in this room who played with alcohol a little too much. Now, what's the big deal, Lady Hinata? That just shows how much he trusts us. Oh, hey, and if you aren't eating that, I'll take the rest. I think he was a top officer in this force. He certainly robbed Hinata's plate with lightning-fast dexterity, at least. Still, it must have taken a few drinky drinks to decide it was worth the risk. The moment Fritz tossed the morsel into his mouth, I could see the vein throb in the vicinity of Hinata's temple. Her natural paleness made it all the more visible, although it would have been impossible to miss no matter what color her skin was. Fritz, were you looking to die today?
Holy shit.
Lady Hinata, you're looking so serious. Now Fritz's mind was perfectly clear, as he shot to his feet and attempted to run for it, but he couldn't escape Hinata, who promptly landed a chop on his jaw that instantly sent him to the floor with a concussion. Let this be a lesson on how to enjoy a drink responsibly. The next day.
Remember, kids.
Back to our conversation yesterday. You realize that if you draw too much attention with all of that, the angels are going to attack you, right? Hinata blurted it out just before leaving, as if she had just thought of it. It wasn't really the kind of thing you could bring up at the drunken festive feast we had last night, but since we weren't going to be strangers any longer, I suppose she thought it important to mention. Errol and Gazel mentioned those guys to me before. The angelic army. Each of these angels, or whatever, according to Hinata, was a B-plus threat, and they had a force that numbered 1,000,000 strong, all ready to swarm me. It was quite a bit beyond what I pictured, and that was just the infantry. There were captains and commanders above them, with a full chain of command between. The generals in their force, yes, there were generals, had even tangled with demon lords if you went far enough back in history. Their ability in battle was a question mark, but if they were a good match for a demon lord, they must have been pretty strong. The angels targeted monsters in cities with advanced civilizations. Not even the Western Holy Church saw them as allies of mankind, which made sense given that their god Luminous was actually a demon lord. To me, Luminous told me, they are little more than annoying flies. I would love to do away with them all. But then everyone would know my identity, and that lizards already betrayed me to the Paladins, as you know. The Paladins, by the way, had sworn to keep this revelation a secret. Hopefully they'd be a bit more accommodating with one another, and me, in the future. Yeah, I've heard about these angels. If they are out to poke at me, I'm ready to fight back. I had no intention of holding back, no. That angel force was free to think and do whatever they want, but if they thought they could force their will upon us, fending them off would be my only choice. Hinata chuckled at me. I thought you would say that. We might even be fighting on the same side when the time comes. That you may, and that we may, Luminous said. I have no intention of watching my city be destroyed a second time. Not by those flies, and not by that lizard. Rimuru, unless you enjoy having me as an enemy, I would recommend giving your lizard a strict education. This has been a very useful meeting, I thought as they departed. I think we could build a pretty friendly relationship with Hinata and her forces, to say nothing of Luminous. The battle between us, Lubelius, and part of the Western nations was over, and I'd say every side walked away happy from it. Before long, and with next to no warning, Lubelius would give the Dwarven Kingdom more than tacit approval and officially recognize the nation as a land of humans it could potentially become allies with. They also formally announced diplomatic relations with the Jura Tempest Federation, a nation of monsters, one that included a non-aggression pact, albeit one with a time limit. Now, in one fell swoop, both demi-humans and monsters had been granted acceptance by human minds. It was time to explore how to build our relations from there. And that, boys and girls, is Chapter 1. Next week, we get the invitees. Though, to be fair, that one's probably going to be one that's broken in two. Because we'd be going from... Yeah, we'd be going from the 70s to the 140s, and I don't think we're pulling that one off. Same with Chapter 3.
Yeah, even
and
this one
Chapter
over
4.
an hour.
This is gonna be two. This is gonna be broken into two because they're so short chapters. There's only 4 chapters, so we're gonna break everything into 2 from here on out. For this volume, I think with the next volume we'll be able to do some of it in one chapter, but there's a lot to go through. And guys, the main reason I wanted to do this was just so I could happily say, "Get up, Moon."
Aww.
Nobody cares about Sock Puppet.
Oh, I didn't even see you. I thought you left.
Get up,
Your
Moon.
sock blended
Yeah, I mean,
perfectly.
I kind of looked at there like a while ago and was like, really?
Nobody wants to see
thought
your
you-
spank bank on camera, okay? Anyway.
Molex, on the other hand.
Anyway, the reason I wanted to get through this chapter is because, guys, guess what? As of
What?
this moment, we have officially passed the manga.
Nice.
Yep, finishing this chapter puts us past the manga. So, guys, we're going to stop at 10:30 next time. So, get prepared for that. We're going to do it in chapter... we're going to break the chapters into 2. But...
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
There it goes.
Bye. Have a good time. Anyway, what'd you guys think of this chapter? I mean, there was a lot that went
good.
down, but
Yes, I'm really tired.
a lot of very important stuff happened. But I'd like to just let's get a brief, quick set of thoughts on this chapter. So, Moon, you first.
Apparently, someone had said there is a scene in the manga that is not in the book where Luminism takes a good long gander
Luminous.
at Luminous takes a good long gander at Hinata, and I'm like, I need to go read that.
I mean,
Other than that,
Right?
lots of fun.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
kind
I'm not
of.
gonna bother with the camera.
It's not something that's kind of like hidden in the story. Yeah, Luminous has, of course, a thing for Hinata because Duh.
Who doesn't at this
Rimuru
point?
has a fucking thing for Hinata.
Obviously.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
I like with the whole idea of like the sticky
I'm
thread.
talking to Moon specifically. We're going one person at a time
Oh, sorry.
because you have a tendency to interrupt people.
Ooh.
So that's why I'm doing this
Sorry.
person by person. Moon.
Yeah, my Discord just dipped here.
Anyways, it was a good time all around. I enjoyed all the banter and stuff. It was a lot of fun. Just fun. This was a fun chapter.
All right, Shim. Your thoughts on this chapter?
I did like hearing the descriptions on the food the most. I love Japanese food, so it's like,
I figured like you would be the
I
one
love
that
rice.
to lean more toward the rice. Yeah.
yeah, the
I
black
don't-
rice sounds really interesting.
Here's the
because
thing.
of that.
In every Japanese anime that's an isekai, it's always about rice, rice, rice. I have no idea what the white equivalent of that would be.
White equivalent of rice.
Yeah.
Hamburgers.
Think like a really
No.
good bread,
pizza.
or like
No.
yeah, pizza would probably be good too.
Yeah.
I don't
but
know.
That's an
I
that's an
offered something. I don't
that's
know,
an everybody thing. That's not necessarily a white people thing.
like a white guy thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
Like
I
Like
guess that
rice
depends
is
on where
very
you're from.
specific to like Asian cultures.
a hot dog. Maybe like a hot dog.
No,
Like
Starbucks.
a really, really good hot dog.
Fuck that. I know how hot dogs are made.
Starbucks.
I know. I don't know. I don't know what's super
Start.
white,
Oh my
so
god. Yeah. Pumpkin
Like
spice
white bread, yeah.
lattes. Oh no.
I do like pumpkin spice.
What
I
is
fucking,
a girl gotta do for a pumpkin spice?
I can't fucking stand that. But anyway, continuing on, Shim.
Love pumpkin stuff.
I
Mhm.
hate.
I don't
hate
know. I
pumpkin
like the
spice
food.
stuff.
I do like seeing a little more of. It's not fully said, but I do like seeing more of like the amicable friendships between Hinata
Mhm.
blossoming between things. It's like it's nice. I love an anime when like the cold character opens up a little bit, and they're not like
I'm
I'm
gonna
better than all of you are.
I'm gonna tell you
I don't
right
wanna talk
now. Pretty much everything that we just read, I'd be surprised if it was more than one episode.
Probably.
Literally, what we just read could be one entire episode.
Oh, easily.
But the
We just have to
rest
see
of
her.
the rest of this is where it's gonna get fun. Oh boy! Not to
Always
say that
out.
this first chapter hasn't been fun. Also, keep in mind we did a prologue and a first chapter, so we did a lot. But yeah, from here on out, we're breaking it in two. Last thoughts? Anything else, Shim?
Not that I can think of.
All right, Sonic, your final thoughts on this chapter.
I wanted so badly. I wanted to make the joke when they were talking about using the sticky thread for communication. Just imagine me having like an operator station and just somebody like, operator, get me to this person here. Got it.
The switchboard.
And just doing that whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
That was.
I
Much
do
more,
like the banter.
That was much more wholesome than where I thought you were going when you started with sticky. So
Mhm.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
I can't.
I do
Moon's
like
right
the
there.
banter. That going into the gutter. Speaking of, I like the idea of like the two demon lords are just pining for, like going off what Moon said earlier, like just pining for Hinata, and it's like she's actually my favorite, and then Bremer was kind of like she's kind of, I can see why.
Fat
And it's like, we
Americans
definitely
can't
could
be
tell,
without their
like-
chocolate. How dare?
You know what?
How dare.
Just
know what it
because
is.
it's true.
I know what it is. It would
I
be
don't-
macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
I just say just leave it at whole white bread and leave it at that.
No, I would
No?
say all right. Rice can be a lot of different things. I wouldn't
is
say it's
true.
mac and cheese. I'd just
Mac
say
and
it's
cheese
straight
is
up
very good.
noodles. White
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
is noodles.
Just any kind of pasta, noodles, any of it.
Noodles. Elbow macaroni is a type of noodle.
Yep.
Yep.
And you got the spirals.
Anything
yeah.
You got the
else?
shapes.
Anything else, Sonic? While Moon is interrupting you, which boy isn't this like
How the turntables.
Cathartic.
how the turntables have turned. Yes.
What seems to be the tables turned, man?
Anyway,
Anyway, there's also like seeing on the idea of like seeing more of the lighter side of Hinata. The same thing can be said for Luminous in a way,
well, you got to
because you see her like
We had that like crazy intense battle just going on, and now we
at
have
the very
like,
beginning. Yeah,
we now have like the downtime. Well, I mean, it didn't necessarily end with that because we had Luminous beating the shit out of fucking Veldora, which you guys seem to really
Battle,
like.
if you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah, she hugged him to death. Well, it's
Just-
more
And
like
it worked out because Veldora's aura was
it's more like
overloading or whatever.
I feel like it's more apt to say that like Veldora would be like, yes, yes, to the death. I understand. Like, wrong, to the pain. Like, that would be Luminous.
We're gonna put you to the edge, but we're not gonna make you go over it.
No, to the pain.
Mhm.
Have you
No,
not seen?
Do you not know Princess Bride?
Yeah.
No.
Oh my God, Sonic!
Oh my god!
Also, oh my God, Moon, you've seen something that Sonic hasn't seen.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm not much of a movie
I
person.
love
There's probably a lot
this
of things
movie.
you haven't seen.
I
that
could
haven't.
It's
quote
literally
most
the
of it
best
from
movie
memory.
of all time ever. You need to go watch the Princess Bride.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He didn't
I
say.
mean, I'll be frank with you. I haven't watched Harry Potter
which we all
Yeah,
know
but I don't
means to
care about
bluff.
that. I don't care about that.
or Lord of the Rings.
Don't care about that either. Princess Bride. You need to
Okay.
watch that. Yeah.
You do. Oh my gosh. Can we make him do a reaction?
No.
Oh.
I don't think it'd be legal.
I mean,
I
I'm
mean,
fine with
well,
that.
we
but-
put it only on our
Technically.
Patreon, but it'd be too much of a pain in the ass to do, especially as
I
a
suppose.
whole movie.
Like, I probably would
Fun, though.
trim it up if anything,
Anyway, thank
and
you
just like
so
when
much.
it pause like for something big.
Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for coming and hanging out with us this evening.
Yeah,
We
thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Once again, if you would like to catch more stuff from us, there will be streams here on Twitch, but also head over to our Patreon. We've got a lot of secret streams and patron-only reactions and a lot of patron-only info. If you want to know more about what's going on behind the scenes at Fat Dog Studios, make sure to go over there. And guys, you can do it for $1 a month, $5 a month, or if you want to do the annual thing, you guys can do that. But once again, we really, really appreciate your support in any way, shape, or form that you can put it out. And of course, the best way to help us out is to just literally spread the word. And we don't just mean tell your friends, tell your neighbor, tell your dog. Go shout it out to random strangers on the internet. Be weird. You already are. Just be public about it.
You're Dave.
Slime Abridged?
Yeah, that. Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
So, yeah.
I have been showing it to some friends, so
The more you guys
Hopefully,
post in
yeah.
our abridged or our anime or our Tensura, Tensura slime, stuff like that, to let people know, hey, we exist. Spread the word. The more you annoy people with it, the more likely they are to at least have it in their memory. That having been said, though, guys, thank you so much for coming by. We will catch you next week for the first half, and I'm very specific on this, the first half of Chapter 2. But that having been said, thank you guys, and good night. Bye-bye.
good idea.
Bye. Hopefully things go well with Dale.
Oh, that feels like
You had
ages
to
ago.
say that, and I was just trying to say eat cookies, not people.